Megan Fox.
Yeah, Megan Fox has the story.
Megan Fox.
Megan Fox.
Megan Fox writes at PJ Media.
Eat Tucker.
And that was your last.
Damn it, man. I cried for 2 days.
Megan, thank you very much for that.
So, I can explain the bed thing.
If you don't show up and vote, up your ass. I don't care if you're in the hospital. Crawl to the stake. Crawl there.
It's like Jesus going into the temple. He's like, I got a whip. Get out! Get out! The lovely and wonderful Megan Fox. Not that one.
Not that one. Not the weird one that drinks blood in his toe thumb.
Megan Fox.
Megan. And honestly, Megan, if you don't like it, I'm sorry.
She's the devil.
Megan Fox. Megan Fox.
I've been very nice to you, although I could probably maybe not be based on the way you have treated me, but I wouldn't do that.
You've never met a like me. You want to tangle? You want to go? Holy sh!
Too much cussing on this. I guess we didn't bleep it, so we got to turn it off. But it's
You pissed off the wrong woman.
oh my God, I have been assaulted, but Megan Fox runs wild on you, brother.
She's the devil.
Not for publication.
The story.
I'm Megan Fox. Thank you. Cheers.
Oh, for crying out loud. Am I going to have problems with StreamYard right off the bat? I couldn't even put myself in the studio. All right. If for some reason this stream goes dead, you know what to do. I'm just sit and wait. I will be rebooting. Gosh darn it. I got to take this computer into the Apple Store. Anyway, I'm back. It's Megan Fox. You know me. And we are watching the Maya Kowalski trial together as much as we possibly can. We haven't seen every second of this trial, but I'm covering what I can. Everyone is having issues today. It's not just me. Maybe it's the weather. I'm having issues with my phone too. It's crazy. I don't know what's going on, but I'm not a fan. No, not a fan of whatever's happening to my tech today, but I'm going to try and close down as many windows as possible, so I won't be able to be in the YouTube studio, but whatever. Let me just close out some of this stuff. We are streaming live on Locals. We are on YouTube. We are on Rumble. Welcome, everybody. We are going to watch. This is what everybody's been waiting for in this trial. We have been waiting in the Maya Kowalski trial to hear from the dastardly DCF worker that decided to declare this child was being abused and take her from her family. Her name is Cathi Bedy, and they're going to play they played the deposition videotape in the trial earlier yesterday, and I just had time to try and catch up. I haven't seen anything on this yet. As to the stuff that we missed that you and I did not watch together, I watched it and I thought there wasn't anything that compelling. It was really just like torture, listening to Greg Anderson try to question a Spanish-speaking doctor through an interpreter. That was like what I imagine waterboarding feels like. It just never ended and it was painful. But I thought that the doctor did a great job despite Anderson and his inability to ask a direct question. And I thought that the defense did not score any points with the Mexican doctor. The Mexican doctor was truly convincing to me. So if you want to go back and watch that, I think that was day 9, I think. But after the Mexican doctor, I don't even remember who was on the stand after that. So it couldn't have been, or it couldn't have been that great. So Helene says that this is the worker that was employed by the hospital, not DCF. Well, this is kind of the issue, right? Because she worked closely with DCF, whether or not some of these people get their paychecks from both. And I guess we'll have to figure out, and I'm sure they'll ask her, how is she paid and who is she paid by? And I would like to know why, if she is an employee of the hospital, why she's not on the stand in person. Why are we just watching a deposition of her? These are the things I don't know the answer to. All right, let me try and share my screen. God, I hope this works. And if it doesn't, I'm going to have to reboot. You guys are just going to have to hang in there and talk to one another until I get back. Hold on. All right, let's make this bigger. See if I can get back into StreamYard. See, my computer's moving super slow. Dang it. I'm having to double click on it. All right, maybe I'll turn my camera off. That could be sucking some of the bandwidth, but here we go. Well, oh God, come on. All right, let me move it down to my other screen. Maybe that'll help.
Correct. And that no one from the media, or no one has approached you about this case since you went on break, and that you have not seen any media coverage since you went on break. Mr. Anderson, who are we calling next?
Cathi Bedy by deposition.
Okay, Mr. Reyes, you may. Oops, I need to turn the system back on.
Would you please raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear and affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be
Well,
the
she
truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the
wasn't.
truth? I do.
Please state your name for the record.
Catherine R. Bedy.
Good. And where do you work?
I work for Johns Hopkins All Children's Hospital,
How dare she wear a cross around her neck?
pediatric intensive care, licensed clinical social worker.
And she wouldn't allow the child to have a
Any of
rosary.
your jobs.
Yes.
All right. Have you been disciplined in any of your jobs?
Yes.
All right. Tell me where and why.
I was disciplined at Johns Hopkins for yelling at another coworker.
Holy cow. Yelling at another coworker.
And what was the consequence? Were you
It was just a written.
a write-up?
Yes.
There's no consequence. She got
What
promoted.
happened there?
I'm not sure if I understand your question.
You guys got into an argument?
Yes.
Okay. But whatever happened, Johns Hopkins felt it was necessary to write you up?
That's my understanding.
Okay, so in any event, after that discipline, were you subject to any retraining of any kind?
No.
And obviously you were not fired.
Correct.
What was the name of the person that made the complaint against you?
Her name is Pam. For the life of me, I don't remember her last name.
And what was her position?
She was a case manager in the cardiac care unit.
What's a case manager? Is that another social worker?
No, case managers.
The nurse?
No.
Let me take this moment to remind you all to like and subscribe, because I'm a bad YouTuber and I never do this. So like the channel, like the whatever this is, the stream, and subscribe to the channel, because YouTube has remonetized my channel. Yay. That means you can send super chats again. You can send super thanks. You can send super stickers, or you can send them to Cash App and Venmo and just avoid Google altogether, because, you know, Google is asshole and so is YouTube still. But I did get my monetization back, and that's a big deal. So I'm excited about that. I am putting up, if you would prefer to send Cash App or Venmo to support the show, it's scrolling across the bottom of your screen. And also, don't forget to follow me at meganfox.locals.com. That is where you're going to get all the notifications for when I'm live, because I don't have a set schedule. I work too much to have a set schedule. I basically just go live when I can, when I have the time. And if you enjoy this coverage, then you will you will want those notifications, and they're on locals. So make sure you get over there. We're also having a lot of fun over there. And when this trial is over, we're going to watch Take Care of Maya on Netflix together, exclusively on my locals channel.
Well, she is a nurse, but they work to coordinate discharge for medical equipment, medications, home nursing. They work to help discharge patients to rehab centers.
And what was the essence of the dispute?
Yeah.
Here, let me show you. Maybe I can help you. I'm going to show you Exhibit 3 for the record.
Okay.
And what is that date?
11/18/2016.
2016. 11/18/16.
Yes.
So this was during Maya's stay?
Yes.
Okay. And what happened? Were you complaining at the time of covering more than one unit, if you will, or floor?
Yes.
At that time, were you covering more than one floor?
I was covering 2 units.
What units?
The pediatric intensive care unit and the cardiovascular intensive care unit.
All right. Where was Maya Kowalski? What unit was she in at this time, November?
She would have been on the 7th floor.
And what was that?
The 7th floor is a med-surg floor along with...
Med-surg?
Yes. So
What does
some
that
of our
mean?
medical and surgical.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for surgery.
Yeah. And there's also EEG floor.
Why was she on that floor?
I don't know that.
Okay. But was that your assigned floor? In other words, were you part of med surgical or EEG?
No, I was not part of that.
Guys, I wish I could turn up the sound. It is as loud as it goes. That's why I'm muting myself, so there's no residual sound coming from me. I suggest wearing headphones. I've got headphones on and I can hear it okay. She is not speaking very close to the microphone, and there's nothing I can do about that. I'm sorry.
But yeah, you stayed with Maya when she moved onto that floor, did you not?
I did.
And then in November, what's the date there?
November 18th.
Sorry,
You were complaining
I'll
that
turn
you
myself
considered
down.
overworked by having both the pediatric intensive care and the cardio intensive care units to look after?
Mm-hmm.
So yes.
I'm sorry.
And you chose nonetheless to take on responsibility for trying to manage visitation and counseling needs for Maya Kowalski?
It was an assignment. It wasn't something that I chose to do.
Okay, for the record, Ms. Bedy, it's from Nina Bagby Bishop. Who's she?
Yes. She was a social worker that was with the hospital.
All right. And it's to you, and it's dated October 19, 2016. Subject is 709 Maya Kowalski. Was 709 her room number or something? That designation there?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, and it says, Dear Kathy, Avon said you were wanting to continue to follow this child. Please let me know if you plan to do this now that she's on my floor. Thanks, Nina. All right, so I'm guessing Nina was the social worker on the 7th floor?
Correct.
And it says Avon. Who's Avon?
Yvonne was another social worker.
Avon said you wanted to continue to follow this child. Is that true?
No, it was assigned, and I said I would continue to follow.
Okay, so when Avon said you were wanting to follow this child, Avon was incorrect.
Correct.
You were assigned it, and you did not ask for this assignment in any way?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Did you receive any instructions, or including to just keep them up to speed from anybody from risk management?
Yes.
And who was that?
I talked with Patty Condon.
Okay. Patty, a doctor or nurse?
I don't know what Patty's profession is. She's
Okay.
in risk management.
Okay. Who else?
That would be who I talked to in risk management, mostly. I may have talked to Louise.
Was risk management fairly involved in this case? Maybe not initially in October, but after a few months?
Yeah.
And so let me ask you something about how you got involved in this case. First, I want to know a little bit about your qualifications for a case that I think you would agree with me is this complex. Would you agree with me this is a complex case?
Yes, I would agree with you.
Tell me what, before being assigned to Maya, what specific training you had in CRPS?
I didn't have any in CRPS.
What is RSD?
It's regional pain disorder.
Okay.
I had to think about it.
She rolled her eyes. Did you catch that?
Do you have any specific training in RSD?
No.
How about Munchausen's by proxy?
Nope. No specific training, because there isn't any.
In graduate school.
Okay, and what was that specific training that you had in graduate school?
Psychopathology.
And how long would you say they spent on
Bullshit.
Munchausen by proxy?
I can't tell you, that was a long time ago.
I mean, was this an entire course devoted to it, or is this one of several subjects of knowing about different abuse disorders? What was it?
It was a course designed for psychopathology that also there was highlights of child abuse, different forms of child abuse.
Okay. And prior to the allegations against Maya Kowalski, how many cases, if any, of Munchausen's by proxy, where it was confirmed it was Munchausen by proxy, had you handled?
3.
All right. 3 cases.
Mm-hmm.
Did anyone at Johns Hopkins, management or physician-wise, ever question leaving you on such a...
Oh, hold on. 3 cases? 3? I'm going to try not to yell in your ears because I know that I'm louder than you have it turned all the way up, but I feel like screaming right now. 3 cases? This woman has had 3 cases of Munchausen syndrome by proxy? This is how you know it's garbage. This one social worker has had 3 cases. Do you know how rare these cases of so-called Munchausen syndrome by proxy really are? That one social worker would have 3 of them is outrageous. It's obviously fake. It's fake. It's fake. Oh my God. This makes me so angry because these people ruin families' lives over this shit.
After the write-up with your conflict with a coworker?
Not that I'm aware of.
So they left you on despite this incident, right?
Yeah.
Would you agree with me that 3 cases do not make you an expert in Munchausen by proxy?
Yes.
Would you agree with me that you have no background training and experience to provide any expertise in Munchausen by proxy?
To provide
any expertise in Munchausen by proxy?
I have a little bit of knowledge of it from the cases.
All right.
He said expertise, lady.
And I'm not a...
He didn't say a little bit of knowledge. He said, are you an expert?
Knowledge, though, it was from physicians, I would gather. Psychologists or doctors, people like that.
Sometimes, yes.
Well, did you read things about it or study anything about it? Okay, what did you read and study?
So through graduate school, I read many of articles that were written in the medical literature, along with the social work literature.
Specific to Munchausen by proxy?
Yes.
Okay. So then, are you telling us you had sufficient knowledge to determine whether a specific action, inaction, or behavior was consistent with Munchausen by proxy?
That's not my role at the hospital.
Okay. You alone would not know whether a particular activity, action, reaction, symptom was part of what, let's say, a DSM-4, DSM-5 diagnosis of Munchausen by proxy would be.
No, I would know.
You would know which was a symptom and which wasn't a symptom?
I would know some of them, yes.
Okay, name the top 5 symptoms of Munchausen by proxy.
The parent seeks multiple medical professionals in order to get diagnosis of some very vague kinds of symptoms. The child may be admitted to ERs or multiple hospitals.
All right.
The parent is often
All right,
unwilling
hang on.
to share information.
I installed a volume booster on Chrome, but I think I have to shut down Chrome and restart it to get it to pop up. So let me see if this will work. Hold on. Let's see. I have heard that the Chrome volume booster works, so I'm going to try that because I also do not like how this is working. Oh, shoot, but I'm using StreamYard on Chrome, so I can't shut it down. Can I? Because that'll make me pop out. But wait, let's see. What's this? Well, let me try it a different way. Let me try opening another Chrome window. Okay, that doesn't appear to work. Where would I find Once you've installed this stupid thing, where do you find it is the question. Let me see. I'm sorry, guys. How do I find Chrome extensions? Chrome volume booster. Pin it to toolbar. How do I pin it to toolbar? I guess I did it wrong. Damn it. How do I pin it? Hold on. It says remove. I don't want to remove it from Chrome. I want to pin it. How does one do that? It says it's been added. Oh, crap. Volume booster. Hang on a second. Why don't I see it? All right, chat. What am I doing wrong? I put the extension on, but it's not letting me. It's not letting me see it in my. It's not pinned. So how do I use it? Is the question. Come on, chat. You guys know these things. Someone help. What happens if I refresh? If I refresh it? How do I access Chrome Volume Booster? Oh, look who popped in. Rachel. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm right in the middle of trying to figure out my Chrome volume booster because this is so soft. It's hard to hear.
It is. It's horrible, the recording. Yeah.
Oh, what a terrible recording. Why didn't they boost the volume? Oh, yeah, get a kid. That's a good idea. Get your kid. They can help. Veronica, Spawn, how do I get a Chrome extension to start working? Do I have to restart Chrome? Is that what I have to do?
What do you mean extension?
Oh, never mind.
Well, no, but it depends. What is it?
It's a volume booster.
Oh.
Never mind.
No.
I'll figure it out. I don't want to bother you. You're supposed to be cleaning your room. All right, Rachel, here's what I'm going to do. Well, I'm going to pop out and you're going to stay here and talk to the chat for a few minutes just so I can restart Chrome. And then I'll be right back. And Rachel, while you're doing it, it's the perfect timing. You can tell them a little bit about your background and why you're interested in this trial. So I'll be right back.
Yep, there I am. Well, hello, chat. So Megan has covered my story before. You know, she was one of the first journalists to actually write an article about my case, which happened in 2015, where CPS illegally seized my 2 babies, my 7-week-old son and my 20-month-old son. And, you know, I'm interested in this case because it's kind of like a medical kidnapping case. As far as Maya is concerned, I also took my baby to the emergency room because he was in the care of his nanny overnight and he just would not stop crying. I woke up to him screaming at about 4 o'clock in the morning, and the nanny showed me an empty bottle and said, I just fed him. He's really gassy. So I figured, okay, newborn baby, 7 weeks old, babies get gassy. I told her to go home. 6 hours later, nonstop crying, would not eat, would not nap. I had no idea what was wrong with this kid. Take him to the emergency room, and I find out he had a cranial fracture and an intracerebral blood hemorrhage. So the doctor and the ER said, we're going to emergency surgery right now, giving me all the liability forms, sign this, sign that. I don't know what the heck I was signing. They're like, are you against blood transfusions? Like, I don't care what you have to do to save my son. Save my son. And I was just in shock, right? I went from gassy baby to now my son is in some sort of medical emergency, life-threatening medical emergency. So 4 hours go by. We're there waiting for the surgery. You know, the surgeon comes back and says, we did everything we could. Clinically, it went well. We were able to drain the blood. We were able to fix the fracture. And my first question is he okay? Is he going to be brain damaged? And the surgeon tells me, due to his young age, we don't even know whether he's going to survive the next 48 hours. We have him in a medically induced coma right now, ketamine. And he was having about 15 seizures an hour following the surgery. So we're going to try to find the right cocktail to control the seizures. But meanwhile, he's being monitored and We're going to watch what's happening. So, that was that. I thought, okay, my son is in a hospital, a children's hospital, one of the best children's hospitals in California. And I go into logistics mode, right? I wasn't leaving the hospital. My 20-month-old son was with me, bouncing off the walls. Tell my mom, take him home. He's going to spend the night at grandma's house. And while I'm there at the hospital, I hear a knock on that glass door, and it's a police officer and a woman with a clipboard.
It's always the woman with the clipboard.
Always
Watch out for her. That's
Clipboard.
Cathi Bedy. That's who we're watching today.
Exactly.
The woman with the clipboard.
And they all have that same look. Oh my goodness. But she came in, they came in. The police officer tells me what happened to your son was worse than getting struck in the head by a bullet. And I'm like, okay. He's like, will you help us? We want to help you figure out how this happened to your son. So when he tells me that, I'm like, okay, bullet to the head. Are you accusing the nanny of having tried to kill my son? Because what else would a bullet to the head do? So I just had that in my mind. Like the whole time he was questioning me, I'm like, I can't make any assumptions. I can't make any speculations. Like I wasn't there. I don't know what happened. But they kept questioning me, the social worker with her little clipboard, taking all the notes down. They were kind of playing like good cop, bad cop. Literally the cop was the bad cop. She was kind of, very calm, very soothing, and said, do you have any other children? I do. What are their ages? Where are they? I'm like, he's 20 months old, same as David. He's at my mom's house. And she's like, is it okay if we go see him? And I said, he's probably sleeping by now. She said, we're not going to wake him. We just want to make sure he's okay. So again, me thinking I have nothing to hide.
Liars.
Yep. These people are here to help me. So I give her my mom's address, phone number. She leaves at that point. Police officer stays with me, asking me where my husband is, when is he coming, blah, blah, blah. So long story short, the social worker showed up at my mom's house at 2:00 in the morning with 3 police cars, walked in my mom's house, walked through the house, opened the refrigerator door. Everything was fine. They had food. My son was sleeping in an appropriate crib. There were no signs of abuse. And then she tells my mom, we're taking him. And my mom says, no, you're not. And she says, if you don't give him to us, you're going to get arrested. Now, remember, if you watch Jack's testimony, he said the same thing, right? That the hospital threatened.
He said, I only had one choice. It was comply, obey, or be arrested. Yep. This is a common thing. This is why I believe him 100%. I know too many people like you, Rachel, that this has happened to. Exactly like he said, including having to separate from your husband.
Yeah.
This is the other thing they talked about this week in the trial, where I was afraid the jury wasn't believing him.
Yeah.
That he was separating on the advice of people who had dealt with this situation. Who told you to leave your house, Rachel?
My attorney.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So your husband could get your son back.
Exactly. And my husband's attorney, they told him, you cannot defend your wife. If you defend your wife, they're going to say you're putting her interest above your children's interests, and they're going to take the kids away from you too.
That's what they do. That's what they do. And so I was glad that the jury asked those questions about the divorce, and they got that testimony out of the lawyer too, who said, I was there and I was horrified that was the suggestion to break up a family. It happens all the time.
Yep. All the time. So they threatened my mom with arrest. And, my mom, we don't know what the heck is going on, right? When they show up at 2:00 in the morning, the 3 police officers are standing right there and they don't say anything. So my mom gave my son to the social worker, and she said, my mom asked, if I go to jail, do I take him with me? And the social worker said, no, you're going to go to jail. He's going to go to foster care. You're not going to be able to care for him because you're going to have a criminal record.
It's so sick.
Yeah. So my mom gave my son to the social worker, and off they drive in the middle of the night, not telling us where they're taking him, why, who, what, when. I mean, it was crazy. So that's basically the gist of it, as far as this social worker and this testimony is concerned. And we later sued them. We did get our children back by the grace of God. But Sean McMillan was my civil rights attorney. And I'm sure
And those
Megan-
depositions are online. I watch
Yep.
them like soap operas. I tell you what, watching Rachel's social worker be grilled by Sean McMillan after knowing Rachel as long as I have and seeing what she's been through. It was so therapeutic to watch him grill this woman and get her to admit she had no warrant. She knew she needed one. She didn't get it. And they took that kid illegally. He even had her saying, I did a warrantless seizure.
Yep.
She said those words. I did a warrantless seizure. Holy cow.
Yep. So, you know, Sean's depositions are very bombastic.
Oh, he's great.
So, you know, I was kind of underwhelmed by this one, but I think it's because we've just been so jaded.
Well, we're spoiled by Sean
Right.
McMillan, by Sean's expertise in the deposition room. We're spoiled by that. All right. So the problem is, I just figured out, oh, there, not set, activate. What does activate mean? Activate the extension. Volume, what? I think it just says not set. What does that even mean? This is so frustrating. Not set. What does not set even mean? Type a shortcut. No, I don't want a keyboard. I want it on my thing. Here's the thing. I downloaded it, but I can't access it. It's not showing up on my toolbar. That's the problem. So I guess we're just going to have to struggle through with the volume settings that the court has provided, which I'm so sorry. But that's all I can do. So
Put the closed captioning on. People can read.
Yeah, the closed captioning is on, and I would encourage you to use it because it's difficult. So, and we will try not to talk over it so that you can hear it.
Current providers.
And I'm going to mute myself when I'm not speaking so that there's no background noise coming from me. Rachel, you could do the same too. And then just remember to unmute before you say something.
Parents are demanding of certain medical treatments that seem out of place or out of line with the current medical diagnosis. The parents seem very attentive to their child.
God forbid you're attentive to your child. Holy shit, lady. Is she kidding?
Yeah,
That's
these
a
are the
sign of
symptoms.
abuse? That's a sign of abuse?
Okay. I was thinking more in terms of physical symptoms of the child themselves.
Physical symptoms of the child is, again, very vague diagnoses. Symptoms could be just about anything, depending on what the parent was using.
Distinguish for me the telltale lesions from CRPS from, say, scratches.
I can't.
Okay. So these seem like more psychological evaluations about the parent's willingness to share information, right?
I did it. I did it. I boosted it.
What is your role then?
So my role is to coordinate with the unit the needs for the patient that might be getting the medical team together in order to discuss the progress of the case, to discuss with the parents the medical condition of the child. I work with and making sure.
Wait a minute, guys. You can't hear the volume is higher. Rachel, does it sound higher to you?
Sounds fine to me.
Did it sound like it went up though?
I don't know. I wasn't paying that much attention.
Because it went way up for me. Hold on. I'm going to try doing it again to see if you guys hear a difference.
Sure that all the multidisciplinary teams are working with the patient that need to work with the patient.
Nothing? Didn't go up? Oh, I'm so sad. It works on my end, but it's not broadcasting to you. Dang. Well, you know what? I'll put it all the way up and we'll see how that works. I'll just have to turn down my computer volume because my ears are going to get blasted. All right, here we go.
Aren't those medical decisions?
Well, if they are medical decisions, but if I have questions from PT, OT, or speech therapy, I may be working with them to make sure that parents and the providers understand what the needs are. I also work a lot with DCF on cases. So I'm making sure that the DCF orders are followed. I'm working with detectives and CPIs in coordinating their access to the patients, coordinating their access to records.
When you start caring for a patient, do you read the chart?
Yes.
Do you determine what the operating diagnosis is?
Yes.
Did this child's operating diagnosis include complex regional pain syndrome?
Her diagnosis included that, yes.
As soon as this child, the medical doctors, not you, hospital determined in the chart that she did have complex regional pain syndrome, that invalidated any allegation of Munchausen's by proxy, correct?
That was not a determination for me to make.
Oh, but you could make it the other way.
Exactly.
Munchausen, correct.
And you did recommend on multiple occasions that the child be kept in the hospital, did you not?
It
I
was
just
my,
read it to you.
Yes. Yes, I did.
And on multiple occasions, you made recommendations to keep the mother away from the child, did you not?
Yes.
And on multiple occasions, you made recommendations to limit the child's contact with certain family members, including the father, did you not?
Yes.
All of the things you were doing were based on a presumption that there was Munchausen's by proxy going on with this family, right?
Not my presumption. At that point, she had been sheltered, and I had to follow the shelter order along with the visitation orders that were given by the court. I made recommendations based on how Maya was participating in her therapies and with the staff.
Isn't it true you were the person in the hospital that had the primary control over who saw Maya, what Maya ate, what she did, who she could talk to?
No.
Okay, who else in the hospital, after reviewing all of these emails and memos we're about to go over, who else had day-to-day control over who Maya could see and not see, and who could come in at what time and not come in at what time? What other person?
That was up to the court order.
You read all these court orders before this deposition, did you not?
I did read the court orders.
And you're aware that when those limitations were put in, that the court then deferred to the hospital for the specifics of everything, right?
Correct.
The court made certain general findings for the benefit of the child, but then deferred to the hospital about how to implement those, right?
Correct.
Order behind you, but you were the person in terms of when we get to the hospital's discretion on to do things, you were the person that had most day-to-day control, if you will.
I was at that point consulting with Risk, and so that would have been up to Risk to interpret, and I asked
Ooh, the hospital's lawyers. The hospital's lawyers.
But this is where it's different from our cases that we usually see, Megan.
Right. But the day-to-day implementation of the orders left it up to the hospital, right? The hospital's discretion.
All right, chat. I hear you. You say my volume is too high, so hold on. I'm going to turn it down. You tell me when I get it right. I want it automatically adjusted. Okay. How's this? Is it getting better, better? How's this?
That's me.
Is this better? Not super loud? I know I'm going to be louder than the deposition. I have my microphone turned as far down as I possibly can. I'll turn Rachel down a little bit also. All right. It's not too high. Everything sounds fine. Okay, good. I'm taking you at your word. That's the last time I'm going to screw around with the volume now.
Correct? You can answer.
As much as we could.
Okay. That discretion then, is it your testimony here that your discretion, whatever actions you implemented, regarding who got to see Maya, how much they got to see him, what she ate, all of these things that involved limitations on her life while she was in there. Those actually came from the Risk Management Committee, right?
Yes.
If the father has visitation rights, who was making the decision of how, where, and when Jack Kowalski could see his daughter?
DCF.
So you were not involved in making that decision?
No.
Where are the orders from DCF?
This is it.
Okay. It says supervised. So in order to supervise, what did you understand needed to happen?
I don't believe
DCF
her.
had to give us somebody to supervise the visit. We don't do that.
Okay. And did they ever give you somebody to supervise the visit?
Mr. Kowalski had visits, so yes, I would assume they did.
Okay. Well, how did you know who was authorized to visit and who wasn't?
So CPI would call, or somebody from the Department of Children and Families would call us.
Who made the initial call to, or either call to the hotline?
The first one was made by Debbie Hansen, and the second one was made by Elaine Brown.
Debbie Hansen. And who's Debbie Hansen?
She was a social worker at the hospital.
Did you ever speak with her?
Well, yeah, I mean, she worked on the
About
team
this?
with me.
Okay. And then who was the next one? Elaine Brown?
Elaine Brown,
And who is Elaine Brown?
she was their social worker on the weekend.
Did it strike you, or does it strike you at any time, how serious it is to take a 9-year-old girl away from her family?
Well, yes, definitely.
How harmful that is to a child?
It can be.
Okay. So what did you understand was the reason that a shelter order was entered?
My understanding from the shelter order is that they had information from Dr. Smith and our medical records.
Okay. Dr. Smith then and JHACH medical records, right?
Yes.
As one of the people who saw Maya the most in the hospital, tell this jury what you saw with your training in Munchausen by proxy that indicated that this family was abusing Maya.
So what I can say is that the medical team reported to me that the
No,
parent...
I'm not asking what people reported to you. I'm asking what you saw with your own 2 eyes. Mark 1 eyeballs. What did you see that would support that?
I heard and saw
That was Sean,
the
like,
mother on,
with your own eyeballs.
I heard and saw on numerous occasions the mother demanding from the doctors that the child be given amounts of ketamine. And I heard discussions from the doctors saying that that was too dangerous.
Did you know at any of those times that there were multiple expert doctors who had actually prescribed that amount of ketamine?
I didn't know that.
No one ever told you that Dr. Kirkpatrick,
You didn't
where
ask.
she was under his care and he was
Holy
prescribing
crap.
that? Did you know that or did you not
So
know that?
early on, probably not.
Did you know Dr. Hannah
Bother to find
was
out.
prescribing that?
Early on, probably not.
Okay, well, if it wasn't JHACH doctors, how would you know what is an appropriate amount of ketamine for a complex regional pain syndrome 9-year-old during flare-up periods? How do you personally know that?
Well, personally, I don't know that.
PICU attending reports Nemours told the mother the current care the patients received from other providers is not the standard of care, and it could be harmful if not deadly to the daughter. Patient would...
What is he doing? Why is he reading to himself? What is he doing?
He always does that.
I heard with your own eyeballs. All of these bitches
So
have
this
power
is
to fix
you
All of
repeating
them.
back what a doctor said that another doctor at Nemours, who was not treating the patient, said was the standard of care, right?
Say that again, please.
This note reflects, is that your note?
It's my note.
Okay. So this is your note stating that you heard from a doctor in the pediatric intensive care unit, right? That's where you got the information about Dr. Santana. You never spoke to Dr. Santana
Yeah.
yourself?
She was actually on the phone with us.
All right. So you were on the phone when she was talking?
Yes.
Okay. So would it be safe to say then that your basis with your own eyes and ears, which was the question, for why Maya should be taken away from her family was this request for an amount of ketamine that was in excess of what you heard was appropriate? Is that right?
Correct.
And did you explain to her why the report was made?
Don't use it.
I attempted to, but she shut me down and didn't want to talk to me about why the report was made. She wanted me to name the doctor that made the report, and she wanted me to call whoever that doctor was and have them rescind it. She also wanted me to speak to risk management immediately and get them to call her back.
What's wrong with that? That's an indication of child abuse.
No, let me rephrase that. In all of my dealings at the hospital, I usually don't have parents who ask for risk management and who don't demand that we call the hotline report and have it rescinded. Also, she was saying at that point she had no intentions of following the recommendations here. I watched her and observed her
You were wrong.
rounds, demanding with the doctors of what to be done.
Wow.
All right.
Yeah, because she knew
look,
more than they did.
You're talking about taking a little girl away from her parents. Are you telling me that, to the best of your knowledge, Johns Hopkins All Children's Hospital took this little girl away for over 3 months because of a dispute over dosage?
First of all, Johns Hopkins didn't take this child away from her parents.
We'll get down with that later.
Okay.
Yeah, you did.
So that was a
It
court
started at Johns Hopkins.
decided that through DCF.
I understand
It
that
did not
somebody
start DCF.
called DCF
I bet it was her.
and complained
Who
that this was
called?
child abuse and that this child should be taken away from her mother, and that the people that said that were All Children's Hospital doctors, social workers, and nurses. You understand that, right?
Under Florida statute, we have the responsibility to report all suspected child abuse.
And I'm going to direct you to the second page, which is 001142, plaintiffs 1142.
Straight to jail. If I were in charge, straight to jail. Right from this deposition, handcuffs, prison. Prison. Read it carefully, Miss Witch. I can't
Are you
believe she
familiar
has
with this?
her hair crossed.
Kate?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And if you look at 1142, the next page there, it says at the top under the family have the right, the middle column, it says to talk with another doctor or specialist at your own request and expense, or to ask for a transfer to another healthcare provider, providing it is medically acceptable and the other provider will accept your transfer. Is that right?
Yes.
Did they have the right under JHACH Bill of Rights for patients to get transferred out of there upon request?
Yes.
Did they have a right, that is, did Maya have a right to a timely response to her complaints of pain, according to that?
Yes.
Did they have a right to participate in decision-making and being informed of options in pain management?
Yes.
Well, if she's repeatedly stating that she's in pain, it's a pretty good indication she's in pain, isn't it?
When we look at pain and when I see kids in pain, Maya was never showed some of the symptoms that we see other kids in pain having.
Okay.
Okay,
Tell
let's
me
go
what
over
training
those.
you have in the
What symptoms?
identification of
Let's hear 'em.
pediatric pain.
Yeah, what are your
So
qualifications,
on an
ma'am?
ongoing basis in the unit, I work with kids that have chronic pain or that are having pain from certain procedures and or things that have happened to them. We work on coping skills, sometimes relaxation therapies, sometimes mindfulness. I see children in pain from surgeries, car accidents, traumas. We see kids in pain from cancer. We see kids in pain from just, again, a multitude of things that might be happening to them medically.
Okay. Well, are there any accepted medical symptomology, I guess it would be, about identifying pain in children? Any criteria, any objective standards, or is this all subjective?
I think, again, that what we look for at all children's, that when I am actually in front of a child, what I'm looking for, and they're saying that they're in pain, we're looking to see how they're dealing with their daily functioning. We're looking to see, again, some of the things that they might be showing us, because not all children are going to be talking to you. So we might be looking for signs that they're uncomfortable in the bed, they're moving around a lot, they're pulling on an area that they might be in pain, they're avoiding touch. We would look to see if they were crying.
Okay, well, Maya cried, did she not?
Maya cried, but not while she was reporting pain.
Okay. Are you saying that Maya was not really in pain?
I'm not saying that at all. I'm not saying, what I'm saying is, again, that Maya did not show the same type of pain symptoms that other children showed.
She showed exactly the same pain symptoms that other children showed at certain times, and at certain times she did not, correct?
I would say that Maya's pain was different than all the time from other children's pain.
How many complex regional pain syndrome children have you treated on a regular basis?
Let us remember in this moment that we already heard from the CRPS specialists that the pain is so bad, they call it the suicide condition, because the pain is so bad, and the level of pain that CRPS patients live with daily is a level of pain that's worse than childbirth. You can't even imagine it. So when there is a reduction in those symptoms, those people have a much higher tolerance for pain than you or I would, or anyone would, because they live with it all the time, all the time. So it is not, you cannot compare her to other children in pain, because here's a kid who's been living with pain since this happened, years. So her pain tolerance is going to be at a different level. Her psychological coping mechanisms are going to be at a different level. This woman makes me so angry, especially when we found out that Maya Kowalski was a gifted student. She was so verbal. She was in all the gifted classes. She was able to, you heard her lawyer say, talking to her was like talking to an adult at times, because her level of understanding was so great and her ability to communicate was so good. And here's this woman trying to convince you that she didn't really communicate well. Bullshit. Bullshit. I call bullshit. She communicated fine. This woman didn't believe her, and now she just wants to cover her ass.
I think we've seen 2 or 3 in the pediatric intensive care unit.
Okay. And so complex regional pain syndrome is a little different than having a broken leg, is it not?
Oh, yes.
Complex regional pain syndrome involves a burning sensation under the skin, right? It's quite painful, is it not?
I've never had it.
Well, have you read anything on it?
I have read something on it.
Okay. So Maya's symptoms of pain were consistent with patients children who have complex regional pain syndrome, were they not?
Again,
Again, what?
I'm sorry. I'm
Finish
shaking my
your
head.
answer.
Yes.
We're
They were,
listening.
right?
We're waiting.
Yes.
Sorry. Okay. I mean, they weren't any different than the 2 or 3 you'd had before. Right.
Oh, they were different. Yes. No, they were different. The other kids that we had that had complex regional pain disorder were often bedridden for days at a time.
Well, so was Maya.
I was just going to say that. Yeah, so was she.
95% of the time, Maya was up in her wheelchair going to activities within the hospital.
Except
want
on the
video
days when
proof.
she complained of extraordinary pain, right?
95% of the time that I saw Maya was up in her wheelchair. And the times that she would report extraordinary pain would be when she was prompted by her mother.
So she still believes
Prompted
this.
by her mother.
Excuse me.
Are you finished?
You finished with the answer?
Prompted by her mother, or if somebody asked her if she was having pain. And sometimes that was in the setting of being down in the child life department has a room, an activity center down on the 2nd floor. So I do know that there were a couple of, maybe it was the guardian ad litem or the CPIs that met her down there. And while they were watching her have these activities, she was reporting her pain as being a 10.
Okay. Is it true that Ms. Kowalski wanted to record the phone calls?
Yes.
With you?
Yes.
But that you objected?
I did.
Why would you object to that?
Because I'm a lying skank. And I knew she would lie.
All children's, we have a policy not to be recorded. And I was told by risk management that we weren't agreeing to be recorded in those phone calls.
That should be against the law, by the way. When the state is intervening with you and your children,
so they just need to queue it up.
You should be able to record everything, just like police have to wear body cams.
Did you ever have any discussions with anyone from risk management?
It should all be foyable.
To the effect that the Kowalski case, the Maya Kowalski case, was, and you can use whatever term you want, thorny or difficult or required a focus, was special in some way?
Yes.
And tell me about those conversations.
I can't tell you specifics. I can tell you that that there were definitely discussions that this was different than any other case because of the level of legal involvement.
Elaborate, please.
Usually in cases that I deal with on a day in and day out basis in the PICU, when you have child abuse cases, the patients themselves do not have like a private attorney.
So we can violate their rights with impunity because they're too poor to get an attorney to protect their rights. We weren't used to dealing with someone who had the wherewithal and the intelligence to get themselves a damn attorney that they're entitled to. Holy shit, lady. I would tear her to pieces on this one. I hope to God he says something to her like, well, doesn't every patient have a right to an attorney if they want one? I mean, what the hell, lady?
Typically, we don't have patients that stay for as long as Maya does and go through as many different legal proceedings as this case did. Typically, we don't look at 3 or 4 different discharge dates for a patient. That we have up in the PICU.
Explain about the discharge dates.
Wait, I'm confused.
So initially,
She just said normally we don't have patients stay as long as Maya. What, didn't they force her to stay there? I'm confused. Is this before they took custody of her that she was there too long for this woman? Or so that was part of it. They were there too long. They were so obviously it must be abuse. She must be Munchausen. They were there too long, but then she takes custody of her and she's there for 3 more months. This makes no sense. None, zero.
There was a discussion to try to get Maya to Nemours once she had been sheltered.
Sheltered. That's a code word, guys, for kidnapped. Sheltered does not mean what you think it means. Sheltered sounds really cozy and nice. And, oh, we sheltered her from some storm. Oh, no. Sheltered means we took her without a warrant from her parents and we held
Protective
her
custody
captive.
as well.
Protective custody. Yes. It's just a nice word for we seized your child. So don't be fooled by the language you're hearing here. After the sheltering, oh, give it a rest, lady.
Case management, and I worked on that discharge plan and working with Nemours to get them the recommendations they were going to need, or getting them the records, I'm sorry.
And what happened there?
When I called Mom said that there was going to be a discussion with her attorney later that day. I called her back and she said she couldn't consent or not consent to the discharge to Nemours.
And the reason that she gave was because the discharge to Nemours was with a psychiatric diagnosis.
She quit playing their game. She knew that if she consented to it, they'd have her and she wouldn't be able to come back and sue. If she didn't consent, they would use it against her as more evidence that she was harming her child. So saying, I decline to do anything is the smart move. And obviously that was her lawyer saying, don't consent and don't not consent, do nothing. Make them do this action on their own, right? That's what that sounds like to me.
Correct.
I don't know that she gave me that information. I think she said that she couldn't, I think all she said to me was she couldn't agree or disagree, or couldn't consent or not consent to the discharge.
Well, did you ever learn that the reason no hospital would accept Maya was because ACH decided to keep psychiatric diagnoses in her record, and no hospital would accept a child with these psychiatric issues, alleged psychiatric issues?
Actually, Nemours was willing to accept Maya.
On what basis?
We could have transferred Maya that day that I talked to Mom, and I don't remember the day, but Mom wouldn't consent or not consent.
For psychiatric care, though, probably.
We also had discussions with I think it was Kennedy Krieger, who suggested another program. And I can't remember the name of that program.
If the mom signed off, strike it. Did you ever see any of the papers involving the sign off that the parents were required to make in order to transfer the child?
I don't know what you're asking me.
All right. There's a recording of a conversation between you and Beata about the potential transfer of Maya to Nemours.
Oh, good.
You
Did it
didn't
anyway.
tell her, or wouldn't tell her, what program she would be transferring into. And Maya and Beata said they would only transfer if it was into a CRPS program.
Hold on. Kim Young, no, you're wrong. Sheltered does not mean protection. Look, I'm a journalist who's been covering these stories for over 20 years. The word sheltered is not used in the way that we use it in the normal vernacular. When a person from the state or a social worker uses the term sheltered, they mean taking forced custody of a child. You don't know what you're talking about.
Right.
This
they
is not
used-
an emotional, I mean, it isn't an emotional issue because I know too many people who've had their kids stolen from the state. But this is the kind of thing, it's Orwellian. They use these terms, you know, the ministry of love. And it's not the ministry of love, it's the ministry that tortures you to death. But they call it the ministry of love. It's the same thing here. When CPS or DCF or whatever you want to call these child welfare places uses the word sheltered, they mean they seized your kid. It's a
Right.
seizure.
Same
It's
for
covered under the
protective
Fourth
custody.
Amendment. Sorry, Rachel, say that again.
Same for protective custody. They were not protecting my son. They took my son to the county children's shelter where they proceeded to give him 13 vaccinations without my consent.
Right.
To protect him.
Right. It's total bullshit. It's a lie. It's a lie. This is not about protecting. It's not about sheltering. They're using these words, they're code words. Do they believe that they're protecting the children? Yeah, I think most of them do. Do they actually protect children? No, they do not. In fact, they harm them. They harm them. They cause harm. Our foster care system is one of the biggest disasters that has ever been inflicted on children in the history of humanity. Okay, the State Department admits that 60% of the children they find in sex trafficking came from our American foster care system. So if you think that that's sheltering and protecting, I've got another thing coming for you. It ain't. I just had to address that because I'm not going to allow that. You can tell me that, oh, we should wait for all the evidence in this trial. Fine. I'm telling you about what knowledge I have about our system in general, which comes from 20 years of covering it. Okay. I have a vast knowledge of what goes on in our system, and ain't none of it sheltering and protecting. Nah. You just hit the road with that shit because it ain't true.
Do you remember that conversation?
I don't know what you mean by a recording.
A phone call that was recorded
Oh,
between you two.
he doesn't know.
I don't. So give me your question again.
Did you have a conversation with Maya?
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Yeah, with mom.
With mom. Did you have a conversation with Beata on November 3rd, 2016, where there was a discussion about the potential transfer of Maya to Nemours?
Yes, I think I did.
And was the discussion centered on the type of program that Maya would be transferred into?
We were transferring, I think that in all actuality, she was going to an inpatient treatment program at Nemours that would focus on cognitive behavioral therapy, pain management therapy, and PT and OT therapy.
A psychiatric program, in other words.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't there to treat CRPS. They were there to convince her she didn't have CRPS, right?
Actually, no.
Okay.
It was supposed to be part of CPRS treatment, which would work on cognitive behavioral therapy along with pain management and then PT and OT therapy. And that was the program at Nemours.
It wasn't a complex regional pain syndrome program, was it?
I don't know. It was a Nemours patient or Nemours program, and we attempted, yeah.
Okay, but whatever was represented to Mrs. Kowalski, she refused to have her child committed to that program, right?
Yes. Well, she said she couldn't consent or not consent.
Okay. And then what happened after that?
Maya stayed at All Children's. We continued to look for, we were directed by DCF to continue to look for programs.
Well, so did you ever receive any notification or was there any discussion that included you that Maya was not getting better and that CRPS was present, thus the allegations against Beata, the child abuse allegations, needed to be dropped?
No one ever said that to me. And in fact, we noted on several occasions where Maya was moving her legs, moving her hands without any pain. Maya was engaging in activities such as foosball, cutting out and making crafts in the craft room. She was out playing the piano downstairs and often moved herself around the hospital.
They have no way of knowing how many of those things she did despite being in pain. The fact that a child who really wants to be doing activities gets herself up to do them despite her pain has nothing to. This woman is such an ass to put this as if, okay, this kid who has this pain, and we know she has it, she's been properly diagnosed. It is mind-blowing to me that, oh, well, she played foosball, so she must be faking it. How do you know that she wasn't just hiding her pain while she was playing through the pain?
It was only after we
is she a
gave
mind
that
reader?
information to DCF that Maya then decided or quit moving herself around the hospital for a few days. It was noted in some of the music therapy,
Emotional
and
trauma.
PT therapy that she was able
Triggered.
to move her feet and her hands and didn't complain of any pain while she was doing that. On occasion, when I would be in the room with Maya, Maya would be showing me her Shopkins, her prayer cards, and she was moving herself in the wheelchair,
Confiscate
laughing,
prayer card?
giggling, playing. She would be putting on her makeup, wanted to put makeup on me, wanted to put makeup on some of the nurses.
Lady.
And all during those times, there was no pain. And there were, Maya was very engaging, very working really hard with the staff.
So you think, so we understand your testimony, that Maya was happy and thriving in the hospital.
There were many days that we saw Maya doing really well in the hospital and working with the therapists that were involved with her, yes.
And you say, I just left Maya's room. She told me she is furious, angry, and in pain. She told me she can't talk or trust anyone, and she knows there is court on Monday and it's all lies. Maya told me if I have a problem, I need to talk to her attorney.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So she's telling you there, she's furious, angry, and in
Smart
pain.
kid.
Does that sound to you like she's thriving?
Smart
Actually, there were very few days that we saw her like this. And this was only after either a visit or a conversation with somebody on the phone.
Uh-huh. So you're blaming it on who this time?
I'm not blaming it on anybody.
Did you listen in to her conversations with her attorney?
No.
Did you listen in on conversations when she was trying to talk to the judge in court?
No, I don't think so. Mm-mm.
Lies.
So if Maya testifies that the reason she was uncomfortable with testifying over the phone and wanted to come into court was that she was terrified of you sitting next to her and what you would do to her, she'd be wrong?
Yes.
Okay. She just made that up, that you were sitting next to her during her court appearances.
I don't know that I was sitting next to her. I think she was with her attorney at those times.
Were you in the room?
I don't know. I don't remember being in the rooms.
Did you require Attorney Kelly to leave the door cracked while he was meeting with her?
We may have.
Why did you want to leave the door cracked while Maya was trying to consult with her attorney?
We were not in the room with her, but there had been an episode where Maya said she fell out of her wheelchair and was on the floor for hours. So at that point, it was discussed with risk management, and risk management wanted the door left open.
Oh, because her attorney wouldn't have called someone for help if that happened? Give me a break. Give me a break. You guys were eavesdropping on her confidential conversations with her attorney. This is disgusting.
So that we could make sure to monitor the patient.
Really? So you think the attorney was going to let his client
I'm glad he's
lay
saying
all
my
over the
exact
floor and not help her? So you guys had to be there, right, beside her or listen in. Strike that.
Finally, Greg Anderson.
So the purpose of cracking the door and being right there next to it, because if right? You were standing right next to the cracked door.
No.
Then, so we were going to be able to hear it by Maya shouting and screaming down the hall?
The door was left open so that the nurses could observe and make sure, because as they were walking by, it was not me observing. This was the nurses observing that were on the unit.
Okay, so, and the theory was that while Maya was in the room with her attorney, there was still a chance she would fall out of the bed and her attorney would not ask for help or otherwise assist his client lying there on the floor. So you guys had to be able to look in. Is that the theory? Was that the theory here?
So risk management, after that happened, wanted to make sure that the door was left open at all times so that there was site to site so we could make sure that Maya was safe, yes.
Why would it be a big deal that she fell on the floor?
I never said that Maya could move around freely. I said that we watched her move around with her legs. What Maya could and couldn't do was not my decision or making. I saw Maya move her legs. I saw Maya move her arms. I saw Maya move her feet.
All right, so the theory then was that because Maya said she fell out of her chair once, you guys had to leave the door open or cracked so that you could see her if she fell out of the chair, right?
That's the direction that we got from risk, yes.
Okay. And so it explained to you that it was felt that the attorney would not be able or willing to help his own client if she did fall out of her chair with him there?
I can only speak to you what our direction was given, and that is that we had to leave the door open.
So it came down from risk management that Maya would not have, it was necessary to keep the door cracked, even when Maya was trying to consult with her own attorney.
Yes.
Imagine.
Did you ever confiscate a plastic bag filled with what? Wafers and what? The host, holy water, prayer book. What else was in this? Did you ever confiscate that?
No.
You never took those away or prevented her from having those?
Never.
Okay.
That's why she's wearing the crucifix. That's why she wants people to believe that she would never do something like that, but she did it all right. Perjury. Straight to jail.
Was Maya allowed to see her priest?
That would have been up to the DCF order. We did have Father Tom that came and visited her when he was there on the weekends.
Okay. Let me show you what we've marked as 13. Can you identify this?
It sounds like it's a telephone conversation.
Okay. Had you ever seen this before?
No.
Okay. Who produced it? Do you know?
No.
Were you aware that on this date that's being described here, January 6, 2017, that Maya was tired and spirits low and that Dr. Hannah had told her that she was getting worse?
She did tell me that, yes.
Okay. Did you ever speak with Dr. Hannah?
No.
Why is it that JHACH chose not to discuss Maya Kowalski, or for that matter, Beata Kowalski, with any of the ongoing treating physicians?
That would be out of my scope of responsibility.
Were you involved in efforts to keep Dr. Hannah off the premises?
That would be out of my scope of responsibility.
Was DCF also monitoring the call?
Sometimes they were monitoring the calls.
Why, if DCF was already monitoring, did you keep being there as well?
in the beginning, DCF monitored those calls, and then those calls we were doing the monitoring. So because DCF and the guardian ad litem's office said they couldn't do those calls. So in order to facilitate the calls to make sure that Maya was getting them, we agreed to do that. I even came in on a couple of Saturdays to make sure that those calls happened.
Okay, but why did you have to be on calls when DCF was already on the calls?
There was a time that DCF wasn't going to be on those calls anymore, and we agreed so that Maya could get those calls with Mom.
And that's not really my question. My question is, during the period of time while DCF was still doing the calls, why was it necessary for you also to be on the calls? Because they were already being monitored by DCF.
The calls for the calls that DCF did, all I did, DCF would call my phone, and then I would take the phone in there and put it on speakerphone.
But why did you have to listen in too?
That's what DCF asked us to do.
Did you ever take Maya into the chapel?
No.
Did you ever sit Maya on your lap?
Whenever they had the last court hearing, or it was right before Christmas, and Maya thought she was going home. I was called by Charlotte to tell, and Charlotte asked me to go in and tell Maya that Maya wasn't going to be able to be going home for Christmas. Maya became very upset, started crying.
I'm just asking you whether you put Maya on your lap.
She asked then to sit on my lap.
Oh, so Maya asked you for permission to sit on your lap? It wasn't my idea. Strike it. So you're contending that this wasn't your idea, that it was Maya's idea that she sit on your lap. Is that your testimony?
Yes.
All right. And did you kiss Maya?
I don't think so.
Were you hugging Maya?
I think that we provide comfort to a lot of kids. So probably why she was sitting on my lap, I'm sure I did.
No, what's making me angry, people like Kim who are trolling this trial, probably at the behest of Johns Hopkins, by the way, because that is happening for sure in the law and crime chat, are trying to make me believe that Maya doesn't know what she's talking about. Maya's going to testify. And when she does testify that this woman put her on her lap and kissed her while she was being taken away from her family, and her mother goes home and commits suicide, you want me to believe that when she tells you this, she's not telling the truth? This whole case is about people not believing Maya, and I'm not going to be one of them. Maya seems like a very, very reasonable, smart, bright young woman. Why do we not believe her about her experience? There's evidence of it. This woman is a known child abuser. She has been arrested for child abuse. She suffocated with a pillow a child. So he didn't die, thank God. But she wasn't even fired after that. She was arrested for child abuse, for doing that to a child that she was supposedly caring for in this foster system baloney. This woman is a known child abuser, and I'm supposed to believe her over Maya? Oh, hell no. No, especially not because she works for one of the most corrupt institutions in the damn world, that she has anything to do with DCF, social work. It's nonsense. It's all garbage. And Kim, you might have good intentions, and you want to be you want to be so middle of the road, and let's let the hospital have their say. I don't get why. We've seen a lot of evidence in this case, and none of it looks good for the hospital. Haven't seen one thing yet that leads me to believe that the hospital was right to do any of the shit to this kid. None. So if you want to watch this trial and you want to, have your say about it somewhere where people are on the side of the hospital, try somewhere else. This is not the right channel. And if you're, by some way being paid by Johns Hopkins to just get on and troll and tell people that, oh, well, we should wait for all the evidence because everything's unfair because of the documentary, blah, 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 blah. Enough. Don't do it here. I think it's gross. Stop it. Stop shilling for a hospital that has a terrible record for medical kidnappings. Why don't you go Google Johns Hopkins and the other things that they've done? Because they don't have a real good reputation, shall we say, where this is concerned.
Okay.
Who gave you permission to touch the child in this manner?
We provide a lot of comfort to kids.
Now, my question, who gave you permission to be this intimate with that child?
So Maya asked.
She's 11. What adult, either Maya's mother or Maya's father, the only two people, not the state and not the hospital, who gave you permission to be intimate with that child?
So currently at that time, DCF had custody of the child, and the case manager on several occasions asked that we provide comfort to Maya.
And in your view, comfort included what?
I talked with Maya. She held my hand. I would hold her hand. She asked me to come in and pray with her.
I guess your answer is no one with any authority to permit you to be that intimate with their child gave you permission to do so.
So I do think a couple of times that Mr. Kowalski and I discussed the fact that I provided comfort to Maya.
Was Mr. Kowalski complimenting you about it, or were you telling him that you were providing comfort?
I can't tell you how the conversation happened, but I can tell you that Mr. Kowalski thanked me.
So he's being polite. So by thanking you for comforting his child, is it your interpretation that that meant he believed it was okay for you to have the child on your lap and be able to hug her and kiss her?
Again, I don't think that I kissed her.
Are you sure you didn't kiss her?
Pretty sure.
So if Maya specifically remembers you kissing her and telling her it was going to be okay, that's just another thing that she made up.
Typically, I don't think I would tell any of the kids that were in this situation that they're...
Did she do this in front of her mother at the court hearing where the judge denied her mother's ability to hug her child? Because that's what it's sounding like to me. That's what I thought I heard here, that this happened right directly after the court hearing. Let us hope that Beata did not see it, because after being denied hugging your own child, to have the woman who took her away from you be hugging your child in front of you is too sick to even contemplate.
They're in, that everything's going to be okay. I think that we would talk about things look really bad right now. And I'm working more to help Maya with what her thoughts are, not with that's not usually in the repertoire of words that we would have used with her.
Are you a member of the National Association of Social Workers?
Yes.
Are you familiar with their code of ethics?
Yes.
Let me show you what we'll mark, and unfortunately it's highlighted, but I'm going to mark it as 14, and we'll swap out I need a stapler too.
Rachel, I have a question for you. Chimp in a bow tie believes everything he hears from these people. Everything. He believes just everything he hears out of these people. Chimp says, the fact that Jack thanked her and is now trying to claim abuse on the stand, I'm out. Rachel, what are one of several reasons why a man, maybe like your husband, might be polite and accommodating and tell a social worker anything they might want to hear?
Right, because they're also being threatened with losing their children as well.
And when you were going through it, how was your husband with the social workers? What was his demeanor with them?
Very polite. You know, we had different social workers that went to our house 3 times a week unannounced. And he was at home with the children. So they had a certain demeanor with him. My social workers had another completely demeanor with me. And when my husband and I would meet, to have dinner and to update each other on what the heck was going on, our experiences were completely different.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And was he advised by your attorney that he should be nothing but extremely polite and accommodating?
Absolutely. So you do whatever the heck they do.
And that might even include saying things that you don't actually mean. And we lost Rachel here for a second, but I'm sure she'll be back. But that might include saying things you don't actually believe.
Right.
Because you don't have a choice.
Like they said, you couldn't defend your wife, right? So if they ask you, do you think your wife did this?
Chimp, you don't seem to understand this. These people have the power to put you in jail.
They
So
do.
yes, you're threatened with jail, but you go out of your way to thank someone that you think is the one responsible. Yeah, he's trying to stay out of jail. Do you not get it? He wants custody of his child. He's going to do and say anything to make that happen. And I have plenty of evidence from other people whose stories I've covered who'll tell you the exact same thing. It's called coercion. It's called intimidation through force. They
can adopt your child out. If they take your child away and place it in foster care, they will adopt your child. You have no say in that whatsoever. So if I have to balance myself back to walk that line, I will.
And Jack already talked about how his wife had an approach where she was just like angry and wanted to sue everybody. And he was like, no, whoa. We have to be careful here because we're going to end up in a whole lot of trouble. So here he is trying to be Mr. Political. Let's get this taken care of as easily and without jailing if we can. I don't understand, Chimp. I don't think you understand this at all. Yeah, he went out of his way. He's trying to build a rapport with her so that she feels confident enough to write in the report that Maya can go home with dad. That's what he's trying to do. So I don't know why you think that this is, it somehow shows Jack is lying. No, this is how you deal with these people. You have to lie to them because they're a bunch of fucking liars too.
Got to play their game.
You have to play their game. And if you don't play their game, they will destroy your life. And Beata didn't play their game.
Right.
You're totally wrong here. Chimp, I've got 20 years here, Anya, with dealing with families who have been through this. And it's all the same story. When you run into one of these corrupt social workers like this woman here, and these corrupt people who want to show you who's boss, that's what it's about. It's about showing you who's in charge, about showing you who has the power. So if you don't play their game and give them what they want, they're going to ruin your life. They can take your kid in 6 months and adopt them out, and it takes a year, 1 year to actually complete the program that they give you to get your kid back. So how does that make sense? You have 6 months before they adopt them out, but you have the program they order you in takes a year. It's all garbage. Trust me when I tell you, these people are bad people.
Yeah. But let me ask you about section 1.10. Is that, does it appear to you to be the code of ethics for what's your organization called?
National Association of Social Workers.
Does it appear to be your code of ethics?
Could be, yes.
And is there a specific section there about social worker responsibilities regarding physical touching of the patient?
Yes, there is.
And is that section 1.10?
Yes, it is.
Could you read it to the jury, please?
Social workers should not engage in physical contact with clients when there is a possibility of psychological harm to the client as a result of the contact, such as cradling or caressing. Social workers who engage in appropriate physical contact with clients are responsible for setting clear, appropriate, and culturally sensitive boundaries that govern such physical contact.
You had no specific authority to touch that child in that manner, did you?
I was asked by the case manager to provide comfort to her, and Maya asked if she could sit in my lap.
Well, a child can't give consent to be abused or touched, can they?
It's certainly at no point did I touch Maya in any way that was sexually related.
Okay. Would you agree with me that a child cannot give consent
children ask for comfort and the kind of medical setting that we work in at all times. We often sit with kids and hold their hands or hold them. I mean, especially when it comes to kids under the age of 10 to 12.
There's a big difference between a kid on your lap with your arms around them and holding a child's hand when they're scared, isn't there?
Maya was sobbing that night because she couldn't go home.
Let me show you Exhibit 15. For the record, it's an email from Cathi Bedy dated Monday, November 7th, 2016 regarding MK. It's to Audrey Peterson. You recognize this?
Mm-hmm. I recognize the people on it, yes.
All right, so who's Audrey Peterson?
She was the case manager for the 7th floor.
Okay. Okay, and it says, I'll call you later with massive update. Describe for me what the massive update was.
I have no idea without going back and taking a look at my notes from that day. So I guess I didn't have a chance to talk to Audrey that day, so I emailed her the next day. Said there was no update available as the parents will not consent or decline the placement at Nemours. There's a hearing today and Thursday that will clear up the matter.
That's a massive update?
Yes, because we were looking at discharge and we were looking to get Maya on to some kind of physical therapy. So for us, yes, that whenever there's not going to be a discharge, that's a big update for us.
That's massive, that it's not going to be a discharge, huh? That's the only thing you guys discussed about Maya Kowalski or her situation.
Yeah, because I didn't talk to her on the 7th. That's per her email. But yes, anytime there's a delay in discharge, it's massive for us.
You've got an affidavit on November 2nd, 2016, and then Exhibit Bedy 16, and then we've got this November 7th email
Why is she
regarding
smiling?
massive update, which is 15. And then we have what I'm going to mark as 17, which is what? Tell me what that is. For the record, it's an email from Cathi Bedy to Megan Leaf at My Florida Families, dated November 9th, 2016. So 2 days later than the massive update email. Late in the day.
Why is she grinning? Making me feel weird.
What is exhibit?
This is Dr. Diana Young on the 9th day, indicating she did another affidavit for transfer.
All right, this is the second affidavit for transfer?
Yes.
All right. So let me get this straight. Am I correct that you helped on the first affidavit that said nothing about factitious disorder or conversion or anything like that, right?
Yes.
And then you do an email. I'm just talking about the timeline here. You do an email to Audrey Peterson, the case manager, where you say, I'll call you with massive update 5 days later, right? I'm sorry, it'd be 3 days later. No, it'd be 5 days later.
Yes.
Okay. And then 2 days after that, there's an email from you to Megan Leaf forwarding this affidavit of Diane Young, right?
This was on the 9th, yes.
All right. And you sent this to Diane Young. Why?
I didn't send this to Diane Young. I sent this to Megan Leaf
Sorry, you did send it to Megan Leaf. You sent it to Megan Leaf. Why?
because Diana Young wanted it sent to the state for, I guess they were having a court hearing,
Okay. Then,
or they were going to get a judge so that we could go ahead and discharge.
all right. So is Diana Young a pediatrician?
Yes.
Is Dr. D's a pediatrician?
Yes.
Were they both seeing Maya approximately the same time?
They could have been, one of them could have been working for part of the week and then the other one for the other part of the week.
Okay, but they were both seeing Maya, obviously.
Yes.
Both being attending physicians.
Yes.
And then Dr. Young here says the problems are bilateral lower extremity atrophy with conversion and factitious disorder. You see that there?
I do see that.
Why the difference between the two pediatricians seeing the same child?
I can't answer that for you. I wasn't involved.
You weren't involved in the second affidavit?
No.
Did your massive update have anything to do with the creation of the second affidavit from Diane Young?
No, it would have been about discharge because at that point we were looking to discharge.
Let me show you what we'll mark as 18 and ask you to identify it. And for the record, the first email is from Cathi Bedy, January 5th, 2017, dated, well, sorry, it's JHACH 10160 through 163. Ask you to identify that, see if you know this exchange.
Yes.
And what is this about?
So I think this is I'm pretty sure this is the day that Maya was going to the courthouse and then going to see Dr. Hannah. And we were asked to take pictures.
Risk management asked you to take pictures?
So I have to go all the way back to the beginning. So
it was 18? Yes. It's close.
So Dr. Danielson notes in her email about pictures. I was contacted. Patty wanted to know, is CVI able to help out? They can't. They're doing their own pictures in Sarasota. And then I indicate that I think that we should do them here at the hospital. Patty agrees. She suggests that 2 people are in the room and she has a camera.
So who's Patty?
Patty Condon is risk management.
So risk management made the decision to have these pictures taken of Maya?
Yep.
And tell me what happened. What did you do with Maya?
The bedside nurse and I went in and took pictures of her arms, her legs, her face, and her stomach.
Was she in her bra and panties?
She was in her sports bra and a pair of shorts. I think we took pictures of her back too.
Bra, and she wasn't in panties, she was in what?
Her shorts.
Who gave you guys permission? I say you guys. Who gave risk management permission to take photographs of this little girl's entire body?
So that would be, again, I was directed by risk management to do that.
Did you object in any way to this?
No, I did not.
Had you ever taken pictures of a child without any clothes but bra and shorts before? Not your own, but I mean in the professional context.
in professional context in the foster care program, if they were
The
going to
lawful
visit a
placement
situation,
matters.
or when they
AP.
came back, if there were injuries, yes, we did.
How's that oxycodone
She
going?
didn't have any injuries. She'd been with you for 3 months at that point, right?
Correct.
So did anybody give you any reason why they took pictures?
I was just directed by risk management to do that.
Was there any discussion at all of why it was necessary to take pictures of this little girl in her sports bra and shorts?
Like I said, this started with Dr. Danielson and came down to me.
Who's Dr. Danielson?
Her name, Dr. Danielson was probably the attending that day.
Okay, so this wasn't coming from the government. It wasn't coming from DCF, right?
This was coming from our institution, Dr. Danielson.
Right, not from DCF. This was an internal decision to ACH.
Yes.
What steps were taken to call the parents and ask whether you could take pictures of their child like this?
We didn't call we didn't call the parents.
Why not?
Because at the time the child was in the custody of DCF and they gave their permission.
How did DCF give permission for you to take pictures of this little girl in her sports bra and shorts?
So they were getting ready to do their own pictures.
Who was?
DCF. They did their own pictures in Sarasota.
So why was it necessary for you to do pictures?
I can only speak to you to what I was asked to do.
They didn't tell you why. They just said do it?
Yep, pretty much.
Well, pretty much.
Yes, the direction was to do the pictures.
Was
I think it's very important that she just admitted it was the hospital who did this and not DCF. So there we go. Proof that they did things they were not ordered to do by DCF. And Kim, I'm gonna say this one time and then I'm gonna drop it for the rest of the time. And you appear to want to be ignored. So I always interact with my audience. And if the audience wants to get spicy with their opinions, that's great. I'm gonna get spicy back. And I don't think you were attacked. I think I responded just like I respond to anybody in the chat who has a question or a comment. And if I don't agree with it, I'm going to tell you. But you were not attacked. Nobody attacked you. So using words like attacked for your views or whatever is completely inappropriate and wrong. This is my channel and I have views, I have expertise, and I'm going to share it with you. If I think you're going on the wrong track, I'm going to tell you. That doesn't mean you're not welcome here. Doesn't mean you can't put your comments in the chat, but just know that if you do, and one of them catches my eye and I think it needs to be addressed, I'm going to address it. I'm not going to attack you. You're welcome here. Your views are welcome here. If your views are wrong, I'm going to tell you because this is my channel. If you don't like it, you can go do your own channel and, give your opinions over there and see how it goes. But look, nobody attacked you. So let's stop using words like that because no one attacked you. Silly. That's just a silly thing to say.
Maya upset?
Yes.
She did not want you to take pictures of her like that, did she?
She did not.
But you went ahead and took pictures of her anyway.
Unfortunately, we did.
Was there an issue over scratches that Maya had on her?
Yes. So according to my email, there was a concern that Maya was self-mutilating. And my note indicates on Thursday, there had been inappropriate conversations with the mother that had been witnessed by staff. Or that was due to Charlotte's.
Okay. One last email here, and it's 19 because we're taking it out of order. And it's JHACH 9829 through 9831. Show you that. You recognize that?
Yes.
Okay.
I love this comment.
What is this?
So this was a letter that Maya wrote on
I'm actually going to read this one out loud. It's fantastic. Colbertistic says, imagine how the Kowalskis must have felt when facing the full weight of the state disagreeing with them compared to a person being disagreed with by the owner of a chat. Yeah, you're not exactly the victim here. And let's keep our eyes on who the victim here really is, and it's the Kowalski family, and that's what this trial is to figure out. And so far, now admittedly, it's plaintiff's case right now. If the hospital comes on during their when their case begins, and they have all kinds of evidence that shows me that I can't even think of what they could present. I can't think of what they could present that would make me go, oh wow, well they were really in the right here. I can't think of anything because for one, she has CRPS. She has the thing that they claim she didn't have. They billed the insurance for it, even though they wouldn't treat her for it. There's no evidence here to suggest the hospital did anything right. So we'll see. I think their entire defense is going to be DCF made us do it. Following orders. We're following orders, sir, just like Hitler's boys. That's the Nuremberg defense. It's terrible.
Or around November 10th and wanted the judge to see. So I scanned this in or faxed it to, I'm not sure which, to Safe Children's Coalition.
Who are they?
The community-based care organization that was case managing this.
All right. Did anybody give it to her lawyer or some way to get this to the judge?
That's why we sent it to Tanya Hutchins, who we were asked to send it to so it would get to the judge.
She says, I am not doing well at all. I'm hurting worse than I was at home. Is she telling the truth there for the judge, in your view?
I can only report what Maya's telling you.
And they are not doing a good job with therapy or managing my pain. Is she telling the judge that?
Yes, she is telling.
Any of the pain meds they give me don't work at all. Had she told you that?
No, she didn't really talk about her pain medications too much with me.
Okay. They talked to the doctors about it, right?
Probably.
Someone dropped me the other day. Did that happen?
I don't know.
My parents did nothing wrong. They just listened to the right doctors for my meds, and guess what? It worked. Okay. And then ever since I got here, I got worse. It's causing me more pain, and I really don't want to go to Orlando for my rehab either. All I want is to go home, be with my family, friends, and never have this problem ever again. Please help me. Love, Maya. And then she put the PS, I had better therapy at home. Now, based on, you read this, right?
I did.
Okay. Did you ever have any interaction with any of the attorneys advising ACH?
Yes.
Who'd you have interaction with?
Mr. Hunter, but I also had interactions with another man. I don't remember his name.
Shapiro. Were you party to any conversations? You don't tell me the contents. Party to any conversations where any
I pulled the boomer. God dang it. I'm unmuted now. It's too bad. That was funny. I was going to say I had some doubts before, but I think I'm convinced that Cathi Bedy has joined us in the chat. Bedy, there is no other way. By the way, Cathi, if you're here, welcome. I'm glad that you're here so you can see what it is that regular people think of you. But there is no chance on earth that anybody watches something like this and says, Bedy seems entirely honest, sincere, and caring. You just heard her admit to taking pictures of a child in her underwear against her will. She knows it was wrong. You also know, by the way, that Cathi Bedy was arrested for child abuse. Now, I don't know if she was convicted of that or not, but I do know that she was arrested for it. If you want to read about that, it's linked in the article in the description of this video, both on YouTube and on Locals and on Rumble, where we are streaming. And don't forget to hit the like and subscribe, because look at the kind of people we pull in here. I mean, look, this could be Cathi Bedy herself. I can't imagine anybody else would make this comment, or maybe one of her relatives. I don't have any doubt that Cathi Bedy might be a caring person to her family, a caring person to people she loves. but I have great doubt that she was caring in any way towards this child or her family, who she refused to believe based on nothing at all but her own personal assumptions, her personal ideas and opinions. She had no expertise in any of this. But, you know, thanks for being here, Cathi. I appreciate it. I really do. It makes me think that we're getting somewhere here. You know, Rachel, what do you think? We might be getting
Right. I love it. Yeah.
I know. Keep trolling, Johns Hopkins. Keep sending them, because I like it that you're paying attention. Nobody's buying your act. Sorry, but we're just not.
Any of the attorneys were involved.
Yes.
And was risk management involved in this?
I think so, yes.
Let me show you 21 and ask you if you can identify that.
Yeah. Yes.
All right. So you drafted this letter that's of November 29th, 2016?
I typed this letter up from Dr. Amin.
Okay. Did you participate with Dr. Amin in putting together these recommendations?
Actually, this would have come from the medical team.
And who was this sent to?
I think that we sent this to the case manager.
Case manager for whom?
For Maya, for the Department of Children and Family Services. It could have gone to Charlotte LaPorte.
Okay. So this is the letter to the state.
Yes.
Okay. And in this, there's recommendations, including visits with fathers suspended at this time, unless supervised by DCF. That was the hospital's recommendations, right?
Yes.
Phone contact with mother limited to one time weekly supervised, and mother instructed she can't record phone calls, and mother is given same instructions as father. Do not discuss court case. Do not talk with Maya about her pain and what pain medication she is or isn't getting. Do not talk with Maya about food here at the hospital. Do not discuss the supervised visits when they are or aren't taking place. That's in there, right?
Yes.
Okay. Aren't those exactly the things that DCF turned around and instructed the parents about?
I think that prior to this, there had already been an email. I think that came on around the 17th of November. Charlotte LaPorte had already given that information.
Then why write this? Why include these? If it had already been ordered, why would you do all these recommendations?
You have to, Dr. Amin, you would have to talk with Dr. Amin about that.
And you didn't discuss this with Dr. Amin while you were doing it?
Dr. Amin gave me this document to type up.
What input did you have in this?
I don't think I had a lot of input in this at all. Dr. Amin gave me a letter that she wanted sent to the court or to the case manager. And again, this is trying to position pieces of this to help Maya get to Nemours.
You also recommend Maya's phone be removed.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Members of the jury, that concludes the playing of the deposition.
What was with the
Are there
penguins?
any issues we need to address before the jury is excused?
Is that the judge's backdrop?
I'd like to recall Jack.
Yes. Yes.
Judge Tuft. All right, let's stop this for a second. Jack Kowalski's going to get back on the stand. I don't know if I have time to continue doing more of this today. I guess I do a little bit. Do you guys want us to continue with Jack's testimony on the stand? Should we do that? Let me know in the chat. This is a good time, though, to take a minute. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe. And if you haven't sent a super chat yet, I think I've only got one today. I may have to mom shame you. I may have to just keep this stream. I may not do the trial anymore. If you want me to stay here, somebody's going to have to send super chats or something, or rumble rants for pants, folks. We're working on, what have I been going on here? We're 2 hours in for $5. That's like what, $1.50 an hour? I'm like a little Filipino kid at a sewing machine. This is not good. I'm very bad at this grifting game, Rachel. I'm very bad.
I hate it. I know. I hate it.
It's impossible to do. Because you don't want to do it for yourself. But the truth is,
Right.
like, can I afford to sit here for $1.50 an hour?
Yeah.
Or should I go do my laundry? Because that really needs to be done. I mean, my
Yeah.
God. I know 167 viewers and only 41 likes on YouTube. And what are we doing on Rumble?
Shadow banned.
73 people watching on Rumble, Howard, and only 6 likes. You guys are, what are your thumbs broken? I don't understand. I don't understand.
This case really isn't being covered that much. I don't know why.
Yeah, it's not. AP, thank you so much. Thank you so much for the $10 super chat. My hourly rate has just increased to around $7 an hour. So that is something that's better than oh, here we go. 2 more bucks. We're up to like $8.50 an hour. This is good. This is better than nothing. Better than nothing, I guess. Let's check over on Rumble. Oh, locals, by the way, I can't see your chat today because if I open it, my computer starts freezing. So I had to close it. If you are watching on locals and you sent me a tip over there, I can't tell right now. So yeah, I can't. Rumble, no rants today? Nothing. Absolutely nothing from you over there. 0. This stream is not worth anything to you guys over there. YouTube is beating you by $15.99 right now. No tips on locals. Thanks, Ray, for checking out. But that's okay. My locals folks pay to be there, so I'm not mad at them. Not really mad at anybody, but I don't know. I don't know how these people do it. I don't know how the YouTubers make a living at this. If I were making a living at this, I'd be homeless, Rachel. Homeless.
Me too. Yep.
So what is your opinion now? We've gone past Cathi Bedy. We've seen Cathi Bedy. From your perspective, Rachel, as a parent who's been through this, what was your impression of her?
Well, I think she really actually established that it was the hospital that was responsible for all this, right? Because I was having a hard time wrapping my mind around. I'm like, they can't sue the hospital. The hospital is not liable for what DCF told them to do, which is basically everything that happened in my case. Right. But like the whole, like the monitoring visits, I had monitored visits. And my lawyer told me the only place I could go to watch my son unmonitored was the hospital. Because the hospital is a monitored facility. They are mandated reporters. They could not kick me out. Right. So it leads me to believe that the fact that Maya's parents could not visit her at the hospital was actually the hospital's doing and not DCF.
Oh, interesting. Chimp in a bow tie. Thanks for the super chat. Says, keep up the good work. I'm not Bedy, by the way. All right, but are you related to Bedy in any way? Are you related to her? Because
you're forgiven now.
Sir, you seem to know more about her her demeanor than most of us really should. But thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it. Chris Mingy says, Rachel is so strong.
Oh,
yes,
thank you.
For the super chat. She is so strong. She has written a book. Speaking of grifting, we should grift your book. She has written a book, and you can get it on Amazon and I think Barnes and Noble. And it is called, refresh my memory.
It's called Fractured Hope, Mother's Fight for Justice.
All right, I'm going to bring it up. And I'm going to put a link in if you want to read Rachel's the entire story. And you know what's great about this? I have known a lot of people in my life who have said to me the phrase, I'm going to write a book about this one day. And I can count on one hand how many people have actually done it. And it's this lady right here, Rachel Bruno. She's the only one who's ever said that to me and actually did it. And
only took 7 years, but I did it.
Writing a book is a thing to do. It's not an easy process. And I remember talking to you while you were going through it, and really hard. And she did it, and it's for sale. You can get it on Amazon, and I highly suggest you read it. It's a great book to get to know the ins and outs of the system and what it's like when you're accused of these things. Kim says, thank you for having me. The debate is good. I appreciate it. Well, I appreciate you too, Kim. You've brought some good things to the show today. You've given me an opportunity to scream about the state, which is what I love to do. And I hope you can take it personally. Billy Marie, thanks for the super chat, says, driving and super chatting. Thank you. Don't get an accident. Pull over first. Do not endorse. I do not endorse. At the same time. Thank God you got your zeros in the right place. Am I right? Am I right? All right, let's go back over to Rumble. Oh, Atomic Ray sent $2 in the Rumble rant, says, I'm a poor. You know what? I'm a poor too. And so I feel you and I appreciate you. And thank you so much, Atomic Ray, for that super chat or for the Rumble rant. I appreciate it. Chris says, mom shaming works every time. Sharon Cabana just left a $10 local tip saying, you are the best. Sharon, I love you. Sharon is she's my biggest fan next to my mom. It's incredible.
Aw.
Sharon's been with me for years. She's a PJ Media reader. She's been over there at our VIP members. She's terrific, and I just love her. Thank you so much, Sharon, for being with me as long as you have. All right. Well, I think we can continue now. I think I have enough super chats at the moment. Well, I never have enough, but I think you've proved you want this to continue. Rachel,
Yes.
can you stick around?
I gotta go pick up the kids.
I hear you. All right. Yeah, mine had half a day today, so I don't have to do anything with them. I have a shift at 6, but yeah, pick up Rachel's book, Fractured Hope. I was going to share I'm going to share this here so you guys can see. Pull it up on the screen. But yes, this is her book. And you can go get it. The Kindle price right now is only $1.99. Wow.
That's right.
Paperback is cheap too. It's only $11.29. So I say get over there and get it because this is a terrific. Oh, I forgot to drop the link over on Rumble. But Rachel, any last words about this trial or what you're hoping to see happen here?
I am more hopeful for this family now, honestly, right? I think, slowly but surely they are getting the witnesses that they need. They are getting the evidence put forth that they need. I think the judge, he is being fair and consistent on both sides. He's letting a lot of the plaintiff's evidence in. So I think we're on to a good track. I really do. And Maya's going to testify on Monday. So, have that poor girl in our prayers because that is going to be a tough one.
Yeah, I think it's going to be hard for her to testify. She hasn't looked really good the last couple of times she's been on camera. She looks like she may be having a lot of pain. Her face, she's got dark circles. This is very stressful on her. So I think you're right. I think our prayers should go out to her to give her the strength to do it because it's going to be really hard to testify about the events that led to losing your mother and being incarcerated against your will. It's going to be very tough for her. Childhood trauma, not easy to get over.
No. But thank you for having me on. Always a joy. We always have fun.
We do always have fun.
Despite the subject matter, we always have fun.
I know, we do. I love you, Rachel. I'll see you again soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye. All right, let's get back over here to the trial. I love Rachel Bruno. It's always a pleasure to have her on. And let's get over to, I guess Jack is going to take the stand. I'm going to speed this up. Get there. All right, let's see. Can we move ahead?
Same time, it's just going to take some time to get all the information out. So you're not going to be able to get everything right this moment. I will tell you any exhibits that are admitted into evidence will be available to the jury during your deliberations. Now, with respect to some of the specific documents, I'm just going to refer you to my generalized statements. There also was a request for a written copy of the deposition. And unfortunately, under our rules, we're not allowed to send back a written copy of the deposition. I think
they're not allowed to have a transcript.
Mr. Kowalski testifying. I will tell you, not today, but it's my understanding that Mr. Kowalski will testify again before the plaintiffs have rested the plaintiff's case in chief. And again, I just want to remind you.
All right, so I'm assuming that the jury has questions and they're being told they can't ask them for whatever reason right now. Jojo, thank you for the $20 super chat. I appreciate that. It says, for my favorite judge, a portrayal. Yeah, we've been calling him Trigglytuft because he just won't get rid of that. He's protesting that Hare Island. He really wants to keep it. We don't know why.
This is a process that takes time. And so please remember that you're still going to be getting more information as we progress during this case. And with that, that's all I'm going to be able to respond to with all those questions. But I appreciate them. I did say, are you ready for the weekend? And the reason why I'm saying that is because the lawyers and I are going to be working this afternoon outside of your presence. And this was planned kind of recently, but instead of having you come
I thought he was getting back on the stand.
back and forth, it's just easier if I let you go. We're going to be back at the normal time on Monday. So I want to be able to bring you through the door at 9 a.m. to begin. Right now,
All right, let's get to what they're going to do. Let's hear what the lawyers are going to do. So I guess he's not getting back on the stand. Sorry, I didn't pre-watch this. I'm just watching it with you.
welcome back from lunch, everybody. My understanding is we've got quite a few issues to address. Among them are the issues of the child victim hearsay. And apparently I just, for the TV people, I just did something to your microphone, unfortunately. You come do whatever you need to do. I'm sorry.
Oh, so if he gets on the stand, they must be doing like pre-jury questioning, right? So they can decide what evidence they're gonna let in front of the jury. What? Your microphone is still not working, Judge.
We've got exhibits.
There we
I know
go.
that there's some jury instructions that are wanting to be discussed. So are there other issues that we also have to address? And did we figure out the shot clock from today?
I think we did. Did we get that? Was that it?
That's for Johnson.
Oh, sorry. Do you have the breakdown from this meeting's testimony?
Clay had it. I talked to him.
Oh my God, get to it already.
For both sides.
As soon as we set it, we'll send it to you.
Okay. So, you know, what's the way should we do it? Should we deal with the exhibits first and then child victim hearsay?
We'd like to deal with the child victim hearsay issue first. We have Maya here in case there needs to be some testimony from her on these statements. And then we'd like to let her go while we have the rest of the discussion.
Madam Clerk, we're on DIN 3433. Plaintiff's motion to admit child abuse hearsay statements pursuant to Florida statute section 90.802 paren 23. So let's start going through this and let me ask some questions first so I can understand. I need to know what the statement or statements are that are hearsay that you intend on seeking its admission. And it seems like the first one would be by Dr. Brewerton. Is that correct? Or statements made by Maya to Dr. Brewerton?
Your Honor, I don't believe those are what we're targeting this at.
Chimp, that doesn't surprise me that he gets pissed off at Anderson. Anderson is very frustrating. And if I were the judge, I'd be pissed off at him too. Chimp says some of the discussion of evidence is very revealing. Judge gets pissed at Anderson, of course. Yeah, and I disagree with Rob at Law and Lumber that he thinks the judge is great. I think the judge is very impatient. And he has been, and that doesn't mean that Anderson's not frustrating, but this judge seems to have lost his patience at the very beginning of this trial on day one, and he has lost it with the plaintiff. He even said it out loud. He's lost patience for them. And I think that's a biased attitude. I don't like it. I think it shows that he's favoring the other lawyers. Now, is he favoring them because they're just better attorneys? Maybe. Is that allowed? I'm not sure. I don't think so. I don't like it, but thanks for the super chat. Appreciate that.
On page 3 of our motion, we've set forward 5 exhibits marked for identification. And I can read those to you, Your Honor, if that's helpful.
Well, yeah, I don't physically have quick access to these exhibits.
Sure.
So let's look at the first one, which is 2364.
Yes, Your Honor.
I think someone needs to turn on the screen.
I'm sorry?
I don't believe the screen's on.
No, it says you got a green light, but let me turn it off and turn it back on.
I believe I need to switch it over there. If that may I?
Sure.
While they're working on that, I have the time. Do you want the shot clock?
And is it agreed to?
I believe so.
Okay.
Yeah. For the first video, it was 37 minutes of defense and 32 minutes for the plaintiff. And then for the second video for Ms. Bedy, it was 46 minutes for the plaintiff and 45 minutes for the defense.
Okay, so what we'll do is plaintiffs will be 30 and the defense will be 40, and then 45 and 45, which means plaintiffs.
We're just going to play it super fast until they get to something interesting.
And the defense had It's what, 40 and 45. So it's down 25 minutes.
This is on 2x speed and it's still going slow.
So that means the plaintiff's cumulative total is 25 hours, 40 minutes. The defense cumulative total is 9 hours, 35 minutes. Any questions on that, or we're ready to go?
No questions, George.
I'm going to flip back to our original way. So if you want to turn on my table, I can get us back because Mr. Patrol must have configured it a certain way. I'm not going to spend too much time with that.
I've already switched it over.
Thank you, sir.
There you go. But wasn't that a problem for the other PD folks running it through your feed?
Well, until I can get communication from him, I'm going to just do this now so we don't waste the court's time.
Okay, so you're showing me 2, 3, 6, 4. How many pages is this?
This exhibit is 21 pages. This is my special care journal provided to my Kowalski during the time that she was sheltered at Johns Hopkins Children's Hospital, and it is her present recollections at the time, many of which describe the abuse and neglect that she was suffering at the time. I direct the court's attention, if we could, to 2364-010. I direct the court's attention to number 4, blood pressures. Number 5, not getting my pain managed well. Number 8, not getting to see my family. Number 11, having visitors getting kicked out.
Well, let me just stop you here, because normally when we talk about child victim hearsay, it's a statement by, let's say, a therapist that would say, the child said X. This is actually the statements of the child directly. So I'm not sure the child victim hearsay analysis applies for Maya's own journal, assuming that that's what this is. Am I missing something on this? I mean, there might be hearsay exceptions that apply for it, but I'm not sure this is a child victim hearsay question.
What? How could it not be?
Well, if we're at
I read the child. Hold
this
on.
one,
I read the child victim hearsay exception rules, and it sure seems to apply to me. Now, I get it. I didn't go to law school, but the exception to child hearsay is if the child themselves made the statements and recorded them, like in a journal, that was an exception to hearsay because they're a victim. Now, is the judge basically going to say, well, we don't know if she was a victim and so she can't use that? That's crazy. That's what this trial is here to determine. Am I wrong about that? I don't think so. Here, hold on. Let me read this to you. Florida child hearsay exception. Section 90.80323 creates a limited exception to the hearsay rule for reliable statements of children, which describes an act of abuse upon, by, with, or in the presence of the declarant child victim. What? So what? How is her journal not that exception? The judge is killing me here. He is absolutely killing me. And, judges have wide authority. And this one is like a gimme, if you ask me. Hold on. I'm trying to get to the statute so we can read more about it. All right, there are some exceptions to the hearsay rule when child abuse is involved, which is what she is saying. She is saying that the hospital abused her. They're saying that they falsely imprisoned her, that they touched her inappropriately, that they took pictures of her that she did not consent to. This says the first covered statements that the victim made, if they were a minor, at the time of trial or under 12 when the alleged abuse occurred. If this happens, then the court would conduct a separate hearing without the jury to determine the statement's reliability. And I'm assuming that's what they're doing right here, is having a hearing on whether her journal would be admissible. When prosecutors cannot use child statements as evidence, there must be substantial proof that the negligence or abuse occurred for what the child said to be legitimate in the eyes of the court. I guess maybe that is the problem. Does the court have to find her allegations legitimate before they allow it? Lois is saying that they are saying none of her complaints on this list are child abuse. Well, what else would you call not giving a child in pain medication? What if the tables were turned and it was her parents who didn't give her pain medication? Would that be child abuse? You bet your ass it would. You bet your ass they would put a child abuse definition on it. I mean, this is going to piss me off if he doesn't agree to allow this in. These are statements that she made at the time of her experience.
It looks to me, again, being 8033, as much of our stuff is then existing mental, emotional, physical condition, documenting how she's feeling, what she's feeling, why she's feeling it. And these are being documented at the time. They are confirmable by the testimony of Maya Kowalski, indicating that that's an indicia of trustworthiness. They are relevant and material, obviously, to what she knew was happening to her at the time. It was according to a defense request for her to record that, apparently, although it didn't come out quite like they wanted. This was supposed to be her journal. What a great time she had, although it had things I did not like while I was in the hospital. So there's, I guess, both sides to it, as all what evidence does. It cuts both ways.
Well, who gave this to Maya? Let's just start there.
The hospital did at the start of it.
And did she, and I know if I need to get testimony, I can. Did she fill this out while she was in the hospital?
Yes, sir. And at that time, when did you fill it out? During your stay?
Well, before we, I mean, if we're going to have her, I'm going to need to have her under oath and all that good stuff. I'm just trying to understand what framework I need to be looking at this at. That's
Okay, wait, I just saw a comment on Rumble, I think it was, that I wanted to respond to. Atomic Ray says, yes, this journal is the crux of the trial. They really don't need it because she can just admit her testimony. I think, though, that they will not allow her to talk about the contents of what's in her journal unless the judge allows the journal in as evidence. And so I think that it is crucial because it's I guess, I don't know if we can call it present sense impression. Mud Swallow brought that up because it sure seems like it to me. But again, like I said, I'm not a lawyer. I don't know the definitions of all these things. But to me, it's crucial to know what the child was going through at the time it was happening. And why wouldn't we ascribe some weight to her statements? I'm shocked that your own journal entries could possibly not be admitted. Wow. I mean, not that everything you write down is the truth, right? Because somebody could be making it up. You could just make it up. But I don't think a 9, 10, 11-year-old child would be doing that. I think, how old is Maya now? She's 17, and she has started to look really bad throughout this trial. And I think that she's probably having a relapse because stress brings on her CRPS really badly. She's 17 now. She was between the ages of 9 and 11 when all of this occurred. I'm not real clear on the timeline exactly of the 3 months she was in the hospital and how old she was, but we were told that she was a gifted student, and so her writings are going to look like that of an older child, but she was somewhere between the ages of 9 and 11 when she wrote them.
the purpose of my questions, not for a factual basis.
Unless I need to be corrected on this, but this was given to her at the start of her stay. And it was not directly a chronology, but there are different pages that, as she stayed in the hospital, she filled out about the events, but mostly from her point of view as a 10-year-old, how she was feeling about things and what her physical condition was and the emotional state she's in. So if the court looks through them, I think you'll see that although there are some, like it says, some foods she doesn't like, but most of them are about her physical condition, what she likes and doesn't like, and her emotional state.
I'm looking back at the statute. Actually, I don't see anything in the statute that would restrict it to only statements made to others. The statute seems to be a little bit more broad than that.
That was ours included.
Well, it's generally you see it with a statement made to like on a CPT video or some type of statement to a therapist or a parent or something like that. And
Although we can bring it out, I am fairly certain that this was intended by Maya to document what was going on at the time with the hope that her mom or dad would eventually see it. And I can elicit testimony to that effect.
So perhaps.
Yeah, she wasn't allowed to talk to her parents.
This could qualify under child victim hearsay.
She had to talk to herself.
Other exceptions as well. So who's from this side of the room going to be talking about?
First of all, I think I agree with you that or your initial take on 23 is that statute is designed for statements that are made by a child, typically to a police officer or to a therapist or to a neighbor or a family member, and you're calling upon that person to put it in. The reason you're doing that, the reason this was created, was because you have a small child who either may have forgotten or may have been intimidated, or there was some reason why the child, while available to testify that the call.
Because nobody believes children. That's why. Because no one believes children. And so we don't allow, and in courtrooms across this country, it is a damn shame. The children are not believed. Children often come forward. You tell them when they're little, come forward and tell someone if you've been sexually abused. And then they do, and they say it in a court of law, and the court doesn't believe them. This is a common problem all throughout this country and the world. No one believes children. And so look, you heard him say the hearsay exception for children is if she told someone like a police officer, then we call that person and we have that person tell us what the child said, because we don't believe children because of their state of mind, blah, blah, blah. A 10-year-old is perfectly capable of telling you what happened. And we should be here in the 10-year-old's own writing why or what was going on. And I think we should believe them, especially if it's consistent. Not believing children leads to the most egregious abuse by the courts you cannot believe. Giving children to abusive parents who eventually kill them after the child disclosed abuse. It's happened to people I've worked with in St. Louis. So many people, so many parents in Missouri whose children were given back to abusers. One of them, the abuser killed her child. And they didn't put him in jail for 18 years because they couldn't find the evidence. 18 years it took. And it took him abusing somebody else's children to get him arrested for it. This is a very big problem in this country, that we do not believe children. Children should be believed. Of all the people on earth who should be believed, it's children, because they don't have the sophistication to tell dastardly lies. You know, catching a child in a lie is easy. Wow. And here's this kid. She's now 17. And you think her story is going to be consistent to what she wrote down in that journal? I bet it is. The
testimony was going to be impinged. And so you put on the hearsay because it's actually maybe more reliable than what the child will take from the stand. That's normally in a criminal case. The only civil cases I've ever seen this used before, by the way, are DCF proceedings and Jimmy Rice proceedings. I don't think I've ever seen this in a true civil case. And I have never, ever in any of these things seen it when someone is 17 and a half years old and more than willing to get on the stand and provide competent testimony now about these things in the past. So I don't think this fits into chapter 23 very well. And then if we get into state of mind, we can go, through the details of this, but that's supposed to be a then existing.
Listen to this guy trying to keep out her journal right in front of her just because she's old enough and willing to get on the stand. I know you guys are trying to tell me it turns out okay in the end, but I haven't seen this yet. So I'm trying to give you my impressions as we go along. And this is how it makes me feel as we go along. And he's in front of her basically saying, we can't rely on that testimony in that journal. And she's here anyway, just put her on the stand. But that journal backs up, it's corroborating evidence for her testimony that I think a jury should see. This child was smart enough and aware enough to keep a record of what those people did to her. And it should be seen. It should be heard. I am sick of adults trying to silence abused children.
A statement about a then existing state of mind, an emotion, or a physical sensation, including an intent, a plan, a motive, or design, a mental feeling, pain, or bodily health. And it's got to be something that is relevant to an issue in the case, or to be something that explains subsequent conduct, not by any other person other than by Ms. Kowalski. And I look at these things and they really don't seem to fit into that particularly well at all. These are just very generalized statements. She didn't like blood pressure. Okay, she didn't like blood pressure.
Well, let me just look at one more thing and then come back. 'Cause I mean, I agree with you, Mr. Altenburn, that you normally see, like I said, in some type of someone else testifying as to what the child said. Now, I have dealt with child victim hearsay in civil cases before, and I think my last order in that was like 14 single-spaced pages dealing with it. And I also have dealt with it, on the family law bench several times, and of course, when I was on the felony bench, way too many times. But I've never seen it used for the declarants like a journal. And the statute says circumstances by which the statement is reported indicates a lack of trustworthiness. So I guess the question is, does that mean it has to be to someone else, or is a statement made by the declarant, the child declarant, into a journal? And and just looking at that, I would seem to think that the statute's broad enough to allow it to also include statements in a journal. So for my purposes, I think we can view this under a Section 23 analysis if we need to, but
And the only thing I'd point out is that once you go through Section 23, then you got to go back to the rest of the hearsay to make sure it's admissible under another hearsay rule. That just allows it to be considered, but it doesn't need to establish that it's not hearsay for another reason. So and Mr. Anderson's pointing out that he thinks it's state of mind is how it fits. And so,
and clearly at this point, it's Maya Kowalski's state of mind that we're talking
correct.
about would fit under.
It was Maya Kowalski's then existing state of mind and whether it's relevant to some issue in this case.
So as it relates to this particular document, before we walk down to Section 23 child victim hearsay,
I'll look at 3 state of mind.
I mean,
first.
why is this just not admissible under the state of mind hearsay exception?
Particularly since Cathi Bedy just put the issue of how she was doing at the
on
hospital.
an unknown date while she's in the hospital.
Well,
She
we have narrowed the date.
Okay.
It was given to her apparently on video. Our paralegal tells us during the 48-hour recording is when she was delivered this journal.
Things I did not like while I was in the hospital, not seeing family. Okay, that's a statement of fact. That she did not like seeing the family. Does that explain her existing state of mind on the day that she wrote this? Does it show her emotion or a physical sensation on that day? Is it a statement of an intent, a plan, a motive, a design, mental feeling or pain or bodily health? She's just saying that she didn't enjoy the fact that she didn't get to see her family in the hospital. If that fits that description, practically any opinion about likes and dislikes becomes admissible as a state of mind exception. That's clearly not what this statute is designed to allow into evidence.
If you're being neglected at the time as a 10-year-old, yes.
I was just going to make that point. I mean, we're talking about a 10-year-old child who is asked what she didn't like. And isn't this the means by which she is expressing those? I mean,
yes.
Yeah.
I mean,
I haven't seen the other pages, but is there anything in the other pages that are problematic from any side's perspective?
I haven't gone through every single one of these pages.
We can cycle through. Some of them are pretty innocuous, and perhaps the hospital wants to use them. So
She doesn't like some foods.
And she also likes some things. So
Yeah,
we're willing to put the whole thing in.
I just, she can get on the stand and explain all of these things. It's not like she's 8 years old and forgot it all.
I mean, clearly she could use it to refresh her recollection without any problems.
Correct.
Can we just cycle through the pages and let me see what's in there? Just start at the beginning.
But they want to deny the jury the ability to see that this child was savvy enough to write it down and make a record. They don't want them to know. And why don't they want them to know that? Because she was so poorly treated by this hospital that even a 10-year-old kid knew, I better write this down. I better make a record. How smart is this kid?
So the point was to express her thoughts and feelings. Okay. The next page, please. Okay. Next, please.
Aw.
Okay. Thank you. Next. Remind me who Kareem is.
Her older stepsister.
Oh, that's right. Next page. Next. And the next. We saw that one. The next page. And the next one. Next one. Next one.
Chimp, you're driving me crazy. How can you say, hold on, let me pull this up. Because I said my son often exaggerates his symptoms when he's sick or in pain to me. And he does it with me, but not my husband, because he's trying to be tough with him. And then he exaggerates it with me because he knows I'm going to give him that extra sympathy. But that doesn't mean that he's not sick or he's not hurt. And it doesn't mean that I have Munchausen. It doesn't mean anything. And you saying here that I've hit the nail on the head by saying that Maya was getting approval by playing it up and her mother exacerbated her condition by doing so. You can't exacerbate CRPS by being a sympathetic mother. You exacerbate it by stressing a kid out, which is what the hospital did. Her mother did not exacerbate her condition, and her condition is real. You can't fake CRPS lesions, which she has. You can't fake that. Her mother didn't exacerbate anything. I don't know where you're getting this. Where are you getting this? It's silly. You cannot exacerbate a CRPS by being too kind, which is what you were trying to say about her mother. There's no such thing. That's right, Truth Seeker. There's no such thing as playing it up with CRPS. You heard doctors testify that it's the most painful disease they've ever encountered. It's so bad, it's worse than childbirth. How can you, and if she was, let's play devil's advocate. Let's go with your assumption that she was playing it up for her mother's approval, as if any mother wants her child to be in more pain. Bullshit. Bullshit. Let's say she was playing it up for the reason my son plays it up, to get more sympathy. What possible business is that of the hospital to deny her pain medication because they think she might be exaggerating some of her pain a little for her mother? There's no doubt she has CRPS. She has this condition. She is in pain. Denying her pain medication and treatment for it is absolutely monstrous. And if they had bothered to talk to any of her treating physicians who were treating her for CRPS, maybe they wouldn't have done what they did, but they didn't. They listened to people like Cathi Bedy, who is not an expert on CRPS. Nonsense.
Can you turn it? Next one.
What evidence? What evidence do you have that her mother enjoyed this? What evidence have you seen presented that her mother enjoyed watching her child in pain? Watch it. This is the kind of thing that is not okay, is accusing Beata of enjoying her daughter being in pain? On what evidence do you say that, sir or ma'am? On what evidence? Have you seen any evidence that says Beata enjoyed her daughter watching her daughter in pain? This is just garbage. Garbage. I don't know where you're getting this.
Next one. Next page. Next page. Continue. And the next page. Next page. And the next page. So I'm assuming the defense is objecting to the entry of this document.
Yes, it's hearsay, although if the page they are showing is coming, I'm assuming they're going to admit the whole journal.
We're happy to admit the whole term.
But yes, as to the hearsay, yes, Your Honor.
It would need to come in with a limiting charge that's being limited for purposes of not the truth of the contents, but the child's state of mind at the time it was prepared.
No, that is made clear in the standard jury instruction. And the more special instructions we give this jury, the more chance of inconsistency and confusion.
The following document is being introduced to prove the state of mind of Maya Kowalski at the time of her stay in the hospital in October, whatever these dates are. It is not being introduced to prove the truth of the factual statements or the accuracy of the opinions contained in the document.
Well, then we're going to have to do
Time out. Sure. It would seem to me that you can use child victim hearsay substantively without limitation if it comes in. So in my mind, it certainly falls under sub 3 for the existing mental, emotional, or physical condition. And I think it also could qualify, although technically we'd have to have the hearing that was necessary to admit it. But if it comes in under sub 23, I don't see why I would have to give any type of limiting instruction. I mean, does Professor Padovano say otherwise?
If it goes through both hoops and it gets to 23, that's substantive evidence that she doesn't like food.
So
substantive evidence of the statements of fact in it. That's what it is.
So if we would probably need to do the hearing as to that one, because that sounds like they want to use it for substantive evidence.
Keep in mind, it needs to be a statement of the child victim describing an act of child abuse or neglect. So you have to find that these things are child abuse or neglect because they're not criminal offenses. I think giving her bad food is not child abuse or neglect. It's hospital food.
Well, it's not limited to just that.
I know. I'm just.
And it has to be read in context.
I think hospital food is abusive, but that's just me.
So it sounds like we'll have to have a hearing on that one for whether it would qualify or not. Okay, what's 2365, exhibit 2365, what's that?
This is a statement taken down. These are statements of Maya Kowalski taken down by her father, Jack Kowalski, at the time, in which she's informing him of different instances of abuse and neglect.
I'm sorry, say it one more time.
All right, this is a writing of Mr. Kowalski. So he is recording what Maya Kowalski has relayed to him during one of his limited visits regarding the abuse and neglect by the hospital, and in particular, Cathi Bedy, in the hours and days leading up to his visit.
Okay, so this is more of the classic child victim hearsay type statements. Is there any other basis, hearsay exception that the plaintiffs allege this falls under?
Well, it is again, and many of ours are a 8033.
It would also be 8034. Some of these would fall underneath statements made for medical treatment or diagnosis, keeping in mind that she's a 10-year-old child.
What is this document. Who is this for? What does it say? Cathi informed Maya that her mother, Beata, is getting mental treatment. Maya informed me that Cathi had brought her to the chapel, placed Maya on her lap, and said, "I know I'm not your mother, but I will comfort you." That's creepy. Maya said Cathi kissed her on the cheek. After that, she started to ask her questions. Maya stated that a doctor told her she was placed in a coma each week at home. Doctor informed her that she doesn't need any medication. Nurses question Maya in reference to the visits with Dad. Then they go to the computer. Maya stated that she never stood on her own feet for 10 seconds. Billy or Beth was holding her up without putting foot pressure on the floor. Maya stated that when her phone rings, the nurse will leave the room to see if Maya is able to reach or be able to maneuver on her own to get it. Maya stated that when she was on the phone with her mom during a supervised phone conversation, Cathi was supervising the call and would roll her eyes and make facial expressions when Beata was talking. Maya stated that she's scared to talk to the judge in court because she's worried that what Cathi will do after she returns back to the hospital. She stated that she was worried when she had the phone conversation with the judge because Cathi was present. Maya stated that Charlotte Laporte wants to come and visit her soon. Could she ask to have her lawyer present before talking to her? Cathi does not want Maya on the computer. She's worried that she will connect with someone or go on a sex website. Ugh. Everyone is telling her that her illness is all psychological. How is that not emotional abuse? I mean, if you were doing this as the parent to your own child and you got caught by CPS, they would sure as shit charge you with abuse. How come when the hospital does it, it's not abuse?
And she's relaying for example, that she's not getting any medication. So she's trying to seek medical treatment
To her parent or guardian to relate. So this is the way she can relate and attend. To relate the medical information through her guardian to the doctor.
This is a document explaining by her father that she has brought up. She brings up these issues without me extracting this from her. He's not purporting that these are actual statements made by her. And then the very first one is hearsay upon hearsay. Cathi informed Maya that her mother, Beata, is getting mental treatment.
Yeah, qualifies as admission.
Well, clearly, the child victim hearsay would be what Mr. Kowalski testified that Maya Kowalski said.
Correct.
But this does look like it.
That doesn't
would
put
need
the
a hearing on
document
it.
in as compared to his testimony.
Yeah.
Can you redact his phone number real quick?
Oh, geez. They put his phone number up on the screen. Nobody call Mr. Kowalski.
What is?
Please. Oh, for fuck's sake. Come on, guys.
What's the next one?
Let's just,
The
yeah.
next one is akin to the
Sorry, I was
first, which would
taking
be
it down for a second.
writings by Maya Kowalski while in the hospital describing events of abuse or neglect. Well, excuse me. 2365 had several pages, Your Honor. So there's 4 relevant pages, 2365. So we should probably show you the rest of that one.
Okay, let me see the rest. And it might be, okay. I think to be accurate, it's not that this document 2365 would come in. It would be Jack Kowalski's statements as to what Maya Kowalski said. He could use this to refresh his thoughts, but it's Jack Kowalski's statements as to what Maya said. That would qualify under section 23.
Not the document.
Not the document.
Okay, if the court is saying that if she had made the statements to a therapist or detective, that the written report of that therapist or the progress notes of that therapist would not come in?
What normally happens is the therapist comes up and testifies, the child victim said XYZ.
Understood. So that would only apply to page 1 of that exhibit because those are Jack's present recollections. However, 2, 3, and 4 are, again, we're back to Maya's writings.
I think this is the one we talked about the other day, referring to this was done at the request of an attorney.
It does say attorney at the top, but there's no evidence that we're aware of that the attorney requested this. This is
Well, I think I'm going to need testimony as to the balance of these pages. I'm not saying it is or isn't child victim hearsay. I'm just saying I'm going to need testimony on that. Okay, what's the next one? 2366.
and 23661 looks to be
Same.
it looks to be redundant.
So that's the same as 2365.
It's 2366 is one of the pages that is part of 2365, so I think we can ignore 2366 and 2367 because they are both part of 2365, which I believe leaves 2380.
2380. Okay, what is 23? Can you put up 2380, please?
So
Don't
2380
forget to hit the like and subscribe.
Effectively, Jack Kowalski's notes, both handwritten and in his
Both
process,
on
was
YouTube
to,
and Rumble.
when he returned home, to type up some of these notes. And it's, again, back to statements made to him, and he's recording what Maya has relayed regarding the abuse.
Well, show me, because the first one looks like a discussion with somebody from DCF. So show me where he's talking about statements that Maya made.
For example, in the second paragraph, October 27, 2016, she requested communion. So that'd
Mr.
be,
Ed, can you highlight whatever Mr. Whitney's talking about?
the last sentence says she requested communion. That'd be a statement of Maya Kowalski.
That one I think is going to have more difficulty falling under child victim hearsay because Mr. Altenburn's right. There still has to be, for child victim hearsay, it still has to be grounded in some type of wrong that is more criminal in nature.
Understood. Let's turn to 2380, page 8. And this is the last part there, Friday, January 6, 2017. It describes the improper photography session by Cathi Bedy as relayed from Maya to Jack.
Well, again, this one would, if it met the reliability test, the content of the conversation between Maya or Maya's statements to Dad potentially could fall under child victim hearsay, and especially since this one actually involves a battery, an alleged battery. I think this one could be, so we would need testimony under child victim hearsay. Mr. Altenburn, any contrary thoughts?
And I want to confuse you too, is that it's dated Friday, January 6th, but the last part is upon her return to All Children's Hospital, Catherine instructed her to remove her clothing and take photos again, which she could not have told him that on January 6th. I don't
She
know.
absolutely could have. She went to court.
These are things you can bring out on cross-examination. I still have to find trustworthiness and all those other things. It's just, I think this one is something that we could have here. So it seems like we're going to need a hearing on number 1, number 2, and number 5.
I'm sorry, when you say number 1, you're talking about 23.
On page 3 of the motion.
I'm sorry, I don't have the motion.
Yeah, it looks like trial exhibit 2364, 2365, and then 2380. Now, as it relates to those last two, it's not to put in the actual exhibit. It would be to allow Jack Kowalski to testify as to what Maya said.
Understood.
Okay. Now, and thinking about number 1 more, it does. I'm more confident now, just kind of thinking about it a little bit more, that there can be some sort of journal entry that would qualify as a child victim hearsay, so long as you can show the other components of the statute. So, do you want to go ahead and have your witnesses? Is Jack Kowalski here?
I'm deciding him.
You were blocking him. So let's go ahead and have the child victim hearsay hearing and call whatever witnesses.
Oh, here we go.
or need.
I do. Your Honor, just the same time on the journal, so long as the whole thing goes in, the same time, we'll just agree to let the whole thing. So let's say-
Oh,
Well, I think that's what Mr. Whitney said, is they were fine putting the whole thing in. So at this point, are we, Mr. Whitney, I think this is what Mr. Altenburn, I think, is saying, is they're okay with the entirety of 2364 coming in, which is number 1 on your list? Okay,
great.
so the court will receive 2364. That's a completed
Great.
issue, and now we don't need to worry about that.
They shouldn't have fought it in the first place. Now they just have to work out the rest of the other entries.
Jack Kowalski.
Approach with 2365 001, Your Honor.
Sure. Can we publish it?
Just put it out on the screen. Oh.
Want me to turn?
Yes, and actually put it back down.
Sure.
Whoa,
Let's
what's
not
the
make it on
sound?
board.
Okay.
Way to kill my eardrum.
She would tell you.
She would tell me, if there was a problem, how she's being treated, things like that. And then also she would write it down on a piece of paper and give it to me also.
What were the types of abuse that she told you about on the visit that resulted in this recording?
Okay, I could read a couple here just to give you an idea.
Sure. Well, I need you to tell me what she told you.
Tell us verbally what she told you that prompted you to go home.
She was stating that she was having issues within the hospital that she didn't agree with, that she felt that they're not doing appropriate things.
Jack?
And can you describe more the inappropriate things that she was doing that caused you concern that
He's
your
not a
daughter
good
was being
witness.
abused or neglected?
Yes, there was incidents where the social worker was hugging her, kissing her, making faces while mom was on the phone with Maya, the supervised phone calls. She would make expressions, things like that. The social worker, she told Maya that mom's in the hospital getting mental treatment. There was a doctor, I believe it was Elliot, stated that mom was putting or put Maya in comas every week at home. And it was just on and on. I mean,
What, if anything, did Maya tell you about her need for medication and what doctors informed her concerning that need for medication?
Sorry, I can't have leading at this point.
What, if anything, did Maya relate about her need for medication?
there was an incident that I could remember that the doctor said it was all in Maya's head. That she didn't need medication. It's hard to remember all these.
And what, if anything, did Maya tell you about her need?
She was in pain.
Conversation about her need.
This is so frustrating. Why is it that Jack finds it so hard to say they withheld medication from her? Why? He cannot spit it out. It drives me nuts. They haven't coached him well enough for this. This is witness prep. He should know going into this what answers his attorney needs him to get out. And he should just go down them in a list. And it's like pulling teeth.
Oh, she was in pain. She needed medication.
Move to admit.
Yes.
And the hospital didn't give her the medication. Jack, finish the sentence.
No, I'll wait till after you're done, because if you
She needed medication and they wouldn't give it to her. Oh my God. Withholding. Withholding is the word you're looking for
You
here.
had testified a moment ago about having a visit. What date was that visit, sir?
I would have to look at the document. I don't know.
I can't believe Anderson sat down already. Why in the hell didn't he get to the blood pressure cuff? Putting a blood pressure cuff on her when she already told them that touching her resulted in severe pain. What do you think a blood pressure cuff would do? They continued to do it to her every couple of hours. Those things bruise a normal person. How do you not mention that?
Exact date now.
The description you had of Maya telling you that someone was hugging or kissing her, do you remember what date that was?
You know, I have a journal that I wrote in, and that was all my notes were turned into my attorney, and I believe you have a copy as well. And that does have the dates of all those incidents.
The discussion of people making faces at Maya, do you know at what point in the hospitalization that was?
It's within my notes. I do not know the date, top of my head.
The discussion of the doctor disputing whether Maya has pain, do you know what doctor that was?
No.
So why the hell didn't Anderson have him refer to his journal and his notes before he took the stand so that he had answers to all of these questions? Well, why does it matter what day? Because the defense is trying to make him look like he doesn't know these things. So obviously his attorney should have prepped him with that journal to remember those dates and the doctors and all the things that happened.
I do not know that.
And what's marked here for the court as PLT 034197, would it be true that you do not have an approximation as to when you generated those notes?
Not at this time. I do not know. But like I said, you could find all the dates within that journal that I made up. You will find all the dates.
I appreciate your time, sir. Thank you.
Did you bring that journal with you, buddy?
I do have mine, yes.
May we approach?
It's in my bag.
Refresh his recollection.
If it refreshes his recollection, that's fine. Now, before you show it to him, you got to show the defense.
This has been previously produced on numerous occasions and used. I believe,
show it to the
deposition.
Well, what you know, these are his.
Some are his, some are not his. I'm going to have him turn to those that are either typed or in his handwriting.
Respectfully, I still haven't seen a note that you placed. There's a book of several hundred pages. Most of those are not his writing.
He has testified previously that he took handwritten notes.
I have to
and
interject
typed
because this meeting on this issue.
What we're
Of course,
talking
we're
about
gonna
at this
keep
moment
it out.
is refreshing the recollection. That's all we're talking about. And pretty much you can look at anything that's going to help him refresh his recollection. Now, certainly you can look at whatever's being shown to him, and then you'll be able to ask him questions about it. But perhaps if that's his journal or something he's compiled, perhaps it's best for him to figure out where in there we're talking about.
Right. I'm very well aware of the broadness of refreshing witness recollection. What was handed to me looks like about a 400-page notebook, of which in skimming it, none of it is his writing.
Well, here's his writing, so that's inaccurate.
That's why we said we were going to have him identify it.
All we're trying to do is right now figure out the date. Mr. Kowalski says it's in his journal. So let's show him his journal and let Mr. Kowalski figure out what we're talking about as far as the dates. And then we can show everybody the specific page or pages.
And you're representing the court that that's his handwriting?
I'm about to, if I can ask the witness.
Oh,
May I
come
approach
on,
him?
you
Yes, but
guys.
let
Is
him
that his
figure out.
handwriting?
All we're doing is giving it to him. You don't need to ask any questions.
Oh,
Let him figure it out.
he should know his notes
That's
by
my
now.
handwriting.
the issue is you said that you needed your journal to
Yes, sir.
remind yourself of the dates. So
Okay.
let's figure that out first.
I'm not blaming Jack here.
just so you
His,
know.
his
Sorry.
lawyer should have prepared him for this, and they should have sticky notes on all of this stuff so he doesn't have to go
I have a
back through it.
suggestion,
It's
since
fine.
the
That's
other
what
two
hearings are for, but
will likely require the same thing. May we have the witness go through them and we can then move on to 2 or 3 other matters in the interest of time, or you want me to
I
wait?
want to address this issue first.
Yes, sir.
Okay, we're going to speed this up more because I think he's going to be going through 400 pages of notes to find the answers. So let's just move it along. I mean, see, this is the sort of thing, if I were the attorney, I would have every topic stickied in the journal with a little
Mr. Kowalski, given the statements made within there,
I know. No questions. Let him figure out the issue of the date.
with a note that says what the topic is on each one of the entries so that he could flip to them very quickly.
Okay. That's not it.
Yeah, this is Greg
I
Anderson's
didn't really
fault.
look at this list. Do you want me to compare it to, or just come up with
He's
some
not-
of them? I mean,
He's
You
not
said that you
prepared.
need to look at this journal to remind you of the dates that Maya told you the statements that we
sure.
that you just told
Okay,
us
I
about.
got some handwritten notes from her. I'll go to that. I'm sorry.
And this is just the other side making it more difficult on him. There's no reason we need to have these dates. There's, we just need to know that the child did complain about these
He's
things,
ready to
and
tell you the issue that's going on.
there are witnesses. I mean, now he's under stress. He's freaking out that he might not find it. I mean, have you ever tried to look for something when someone's watching you? It's really hard. This should have all been set aside. Here's the journal. Here's copies of the journal pages for Maya telling me things that happened. Here's the journal pages with the dates that the doctors did these things. Here, I mean, yeah, delaying is a wonderful tactic. It's making everyone believe. Well, of course, the jury's not there, so we don't have to worry about the jury right now. But it is putting him under stress, and it's making him freaked out.
Yeah, I found her notes. There's no dates on them, so I'm sorry. I'm going to have to go back and keep looking and see when those were from.
I don't think the dates are necessary or important, but they're making a big deal out of it, and so they're gonna get.
I don't know exactly what's on here, but
points.
Okay, here on let me get the date. Here, Friday, December 2nd, 2016, PLT 035171.
Friday, December what?
Oh,
I believe
Jesus.
it was December 2nd, Your Honor. Let me check.
He took
Yes,
his hand out of the.
2016.
Don't take your hand out of the page where
Whatever
the dates
page you
are,
have
Jack.
that refreshes your recollection. Why don't you just show Mr. Shapiro and Mr. Anderson that?
This is one of them. I'm sure there's more.
Find out, Mr. Shapiro.
Thank you, sir.
You want me to keep looking for more?
I think for now, let's just keep going, Mr. Anderson.
have you had your memory refreshed as to a date? Did Maya keep reminding you through the course of your... How often would Maya remind you once an incident happened? How often?
She would state several times on certain, occurrences or episodes in reference to her phone and things like that.
And so have you determined a date when the majority, if not all of these in the submitted exhibit were related to you?
I don't, I'm sure it was various dates, but I do not recall the date on this, this piece of paper here.
What, if anything, happened on Friday the 2nd of 2016?
There was incidents on that.
And did you record that at the time?
No, not on those.
How do you know that there were any of these taken down, these notes taken down as of Friday the 2nd of 2016, the date you had previously given us?
This was in my journal. I just documented. I had a problem from the first visit. We drove up there and we were denied. And that was an hour to travel up there. We were denied. And I didn't want to cause problems, so I just kind of like bit my tongue and went home. And I figured by documenting, and that's how I started documenting everything.
So in terms of what's written on the exhibit and your handwritten notes, can you identify for the court whether those notes?
I agree with the super chimp. Yeah, it's baffling that we are doing this during a trial. The trial has been years in the making, yet it seems Anderson was given a heads up last week. And none of that is the plaintiff's fault. None of that is their fault. And I hope the jury sees it, that they have a lawyer who is dropping the ball big time. And I don't know why. Now, we did hear during this trial that he had a sick paralegal. I don't know how sick. I don't know what happened. Maybe she or he was the one that had all the information and all the organization, and they lost that person in the middle of this. But you got to move on, and you got to find somebody else, and you got to get it worked out. You know, it's inexcusable to leave your client hanging like this with so little preparation.
Were transcribed, not doesn't mean to be all, but those notes were transcribed on Friday the 2nd, 2016.
Yes,
Not,
that,
you know,
yes, that is correct. Whatever date it was documented, that's the date it happened. Yes.
and it was your routine practice to what was your practice regarding these notes to make them clearer and more legible?
There's times I wrote it on a little piece of paper. As you could probably see on the first page, that's when it first started. They were just tiny little, could I hold it up or no?
If you want to.
Okay, just tiny little pieces of paper. So and by just scribbling on there, it's hard to read, and probably later on I wouldn't be able to read it. So I would type it out and then date it.
And did this, did this become your practice as time went on with these notes?
All the time, yes.
And was it, did it become a routine for you?
Each and every visit.
Question, Your Honor.
Mr. Spirit probably has a question.
If I understand your testimony, sir, the document that we've been provided seems like a compendium of different things that you've retyped from various aspects of your notes over time. True?
True.
Okay. And just to be clear, the exact date of the exhibit 2365001, when that was prepared, in fairness, you don't know the date that was prepared. True?
That most likely is true, yes.
That's all.
Okay, thank you.
Now, let me ask you a series of questions. So what I wrote down as far as the statements that you are relaying to us that Maya told you, and this is in regards to 2365 and 2365 only, was one, that a social worker hugged and kissed Maya and made faces when Maya was on the phone. The second statement would be that the social worker told Maya that Maya's mom is in the hospital getting mental treatment. The third statement that Maya told you is that Dr. Elliott told Maya that her mom was putting Maya in a coma each week. And then the fourth one, and my notes are a little unclear, so correct me if I'm wrong, is that I think you said Dr. Elliott said something to Maya that all of these items are in Maya's head.
I believe it was Dr. Elliott. I could be wrong on that. I could go through my notes and find it.
Well,
but yes, I made these notes after the first time.
And the December 2nd date of 2016, is that the date when Maya told you these four statements, or were these four statements told to you at other times?
Those would be the day that I was notified.
Well, you're saying passive voice. When did Maya tell you?
On that date of visit.
And tell me about that date of visit. What was going on? Who was present? Paint me a picture, if you will.
Maya liked going out of the room as much as possible because she was in there all day, confined to that. A lot of times we'd go down to the lobby, she would play piano, go to the rec center when she was physically able or, had the strength. Sometimes just going in the hallway or just going to get some food down in the cafeteria. She would bring things up.
And was there any supervision of your visits on this December 2nd date?
I honestly couldn't tell you from the top of my head.
Do you have any recollection as to, besides you and Maya, if anyone else, when I say was there, was within earshot of your discussions with Maya?
No.
No, there wasn't, or no, you don't remember?
No, there wasn't. I believe there wasn't.
Oh, how much more of this is there? I'm not going to be able to do all of this today.
Maya was 10 at this time?
I have a work shift got to get to.
December 10th is her birthday, so.
So she was almost 11.
Yes, sir.
So we will go, if I can, through when he's done with this hearing, hopefully.
And Your Honor, all these notes were produced to Deborah Salisbury when that all took place.
That's fine. Right now, I'm just trying to get at what you remember. Okay. Is there anything else, and I'm going to turn it over to the lawyers for additional information from this witness about this issue, and then we're going to move on to the next one, which is 2380.
I think it would help. I knew what the which issue the court would like me to pursue.
Well, right now we're talking about the statements that Maya allegedly made to Jack Kowalski that are encapsulated in your exhibit 2365.
What, if anything, did Maya tell you about Cathi Bedy?
Number one, she did not like her.
What else? Tell us everything you can remember that Maya told you on this date about how Cathi Bedy treated her?
Well, like I said, there's times she made smirks in front of Maya during the phone conversation. She stated that she placed her on her lap. I never gave consent, by the way, on that. She stated that she used to come in, slap her leg, see if she was in pain. She said that she wanted to adopt her, that her mother was in a mental home, so she could be like her mother while she's in the hospital. There was a time that Maya was on her school computer. She said, "You're probably searching sex websites." She's a 10-year-old girl. I don't think they would know how to go on there. I know Maya was upset about the dress, missing, and that ended up being Kathy's office.
What, if anything, did Maya tell you about?
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, then we had the pictures. Maya told me that if she didn't get the pictures, she was unable to go to court, according to Cathi Bedy.
What else did Maya tell you that Bedy said about going to court?
She was scared. If she challenged Cathi, she was scared that she would not be able to go to court.
What, if anything, did Maya tell you about the hospital and what she did not like about it in this conversation, as you recall?
Well, number one, she didn't get her treatment. She was distant from her family, and it was difficult to communicate with her family, including going through her lawyer. It sounded like there was, she was scared. And she wasn't getting the proper treatment. So.
May I approach?
Stop.
No, I approach you.
This one. I didn't really read it.
What, if anything, did Maya tell you about attempts to stand her up out of the wheelchair?
What did Maya say to Cathi?
No, this is in general.
Well, number one, she couldn't stand up. There was a time, one of those third
I'm sorry,
party.
Mr. Anderson. I need the statements that you are trying to admit under child victim hearsay that Maya made to Jack Kowalski. That's what I need to focus on.
I understand. What, if anything, would the nurse do when the phone rang, insofar as observation of Maya?
Number one, the phone was moved far away from her bed. It would ring.
Mr. Anderson, maybe we're not communicating. This is statements that Maya made to Mr. Kowalski. I need to know the specific statements that Maya said to Mr. Kowalski and the circumstances surrounding those statements.
Again.
What did Maya tell you? And what was the context regarding the way the nurses responded to the phone ring?
Sustained on the leading.
What, if anything, happened on this day insofar as Maya relating to you an incident with, what did Maya say about the phone?
It's still, I apologize, it's still leading.
I agree.
What?
It's still leading.
What else did Maya tell you that day?
There was a time she reported the phone did not work. I did take that to the attention to one of the nurses, and like after a day, I believe it was fixed. But a lot of times the phone was far away from the bed.
I think that's all covers it.
Since you're up, and so I'm not keep doing. Is there anything else that you want to address with respect to trial exhibit 2380, which is number 5 on the motion?
Right.
What are they doing, a sidebar? Is that why the audio went out?
One final series of questions. Where were you when these statements were made by your daughter to you?
Within the hospital, like I said, it could have been in a room, it could have been down in a rec center or a cafeteria, things like that.
Your Honor, were you referencing, should I then ask about the other exhibits as well? Or?
Yes, let's just finish it out so that we can try to bring some.
May I approach, Your Honor? Or actually, we can put this is trial exhibit 2380-008. Now, what date were these notes made?
Here, I see Friday, January 6th, 2017.
Look above it, and from what Maya told you, is it true for that part of the memo as well?
No, that would probably be another date up above.
Can you tell us approximately? Can you tell us what date?
Could I look here real quick?
Absolutely.
Probably. Okay. Friday, January 6th.
top Mr. Anderson.
If you can find the time, it would be worthwhile, infuriating for you to do the rest of this stream. It's
Agreed.
equal parts
Mr. Kowalski,
breathtaking and
don't worry about the
infuriating.
time on that one.
Okay.
On the one on Friday,
I
January
will.
6, 2017, where were you when
Thanks for the super chat.
did Maya tell you anything about abuse in that visit? First question is, did she?
She did report it to me.
And so let me ask you then, were her statements voluntary?
It was voluntary on her side, yes.
How soon after did you transcribe these into 2380-008?
I usually did it right away.
Within 24 hours? Or
Yes.
And what did Maya tell you on that day regarding any abuse towards her?
I'm trying to find out how this might have been, I could be wrong, but maybe my brother is the one that transported her. He reported it. I could be wrong, but I forgot how this information.
Did Maya tell you this directly?
Not on that day. I was unable to talk to her.
Withdraw.
Okay.
Yeah. All right.
That was the day of the court. Correct.
Never ask a
Approach us to
question. You
exhibit
don't
the
know
last
the
one,
answer to.
2380-013.
How? He does this all the time. He asks questions he doesn't know the answer to, and then he gets an answer that he wants to withdraw the question. Oh my God. It's the first rule of lawyering 101. Never ask a question you don't know the answer to. And in this trial, he has asked so many questions he doesn't know the answer to. It is maddening. And I'm frankly, I'm shocked that Lawn Lumber has not pointed this out. Or maybe he did. I haven't watched all of his coverage, but he's been so forgiving of this lawyer. And I just can't. I'm sorry. It's not in me. Greg Anderson, there's no excuse for this. You are a 33-year trial attorney, and you're up there asking questions you don't know the answer to. Holy crap, man.
That's a 2380-013. Actually, you can see it there.
Yes. Okay. Yes, these are what I was talking about earlier.
When, to the best of your knowledge, did Maya tell you about this? And if it's multiple dates, fine.
What's the next number on this?
2380-013. Bates number is plaintiff's.
Mr. Anderson, I don't know the date, but it is. I know it is in his booklet. The dates.
Go ahead. If you can find the date, we need the date.
Okay.
The best you can do, judging from what's being said.
Let's speed it up again because I got to go to work soon.
As you're checking there, Mr. Kowalski.
Yes.
I noticed there's some repeats here. What, if any, of these were, again, told to you on the Friday 2nd, 2016 date?
The Friday what? I'm sorry.
The Friday the 2nd, 2016 date that you just testified to as to many of these.
You stated?
What's on the screen?
I'm not seeing the date on there.
I understand.
Okay.
We're trying to establish it.
Yeah.
So were any of these, because you've already testified to many of them on Friday the 2nd, 2016, did Maya tell you one or more of these? What did Maya tell you?
A lot of these were earlier than that.
Okay.
Do you have the scared to talk with the judge?
Okay. What else?
I believe the computer incident was earlier than that. And
It's not so much when they occurred as when Maya told you about them. Did she relate these?
Oh, it was before that.
Okay.
Before that Friday.
Can you find us the date before the
Yes.
Friday, December 2nd?
She made little handwritten notes, and that's what I'm looking for. I'm sorry. There's a lot of pages.
Is there any way you can tell us just when the visit before this occurred?
Before, I'm sorry.
before you took down this, before this one.
I understand the importance of this issue, but respectfully, it appears we're at the point where he's trying to refresh where the savings came from the purity coming from Maya's notes. If you said from Maya's notes and recorded in a summary later undated, I don't know how this might be.
That seems to be an argument.
Okay, I apologize.
Circumstances and trustworthiness and all that good stuff.
Yes, Robert.
Mr. Kowalski,
Yes,
let's
sir.
just stick with Friday, December 2nd, 2016. If you look at trial exhibit 2380-013, what, if anything, did Maya tell you that was transcribed? Or what did she tell you in the way of abuse that was transcribed into a document? This one.
Maya stated that Catherine had brought her to the chapel, placed Maya on her lap, and I said, I know I'm not your mom, but I will. I mentioned this earlier. I mentioned this earlier without reading it.
Just tell us what you remember she said.
Oh, I remember Maya very upset that Cathi Bedy put her on her lap. I remember her saying that her mom's in a mental home getting treatment, or in a hospital getting mental treatment. Cathi Bedy placed her on her lap, kissed her, stroking her hair, and said that she could be her mom, and then that she wanted to adopt her.
And did Maya state these directly to you, or did you just simply take a note?
No, she told me about it. And the problem with that is if I lose my temper in there, I'm going to lose my privileges. So I had to keep my cool, and it was very difficult to do so.
And again, would Maya repeat to you incidents that had happened earlier in this Friday, December 2nd, 2016 date? Visit?
Yes.
Anything else you can remember her stating that might fall within 2380-013? And then just tell us what she said.
I mentioned about the computer.
All right, just take it down. All right.
Yeah, right on top of my head.
All right.
I'm sorry.
Substantially the same as what you've already told the judge she told you.
Yes.
Your witness. And again, was this voluntary?
Yes, it was.
Was it your routine to transcribe these at or near the time?
Yes.
Mr. Shapiro,
I don't have any further questions. Thank you.
I would just like to point out from the legal analysis.
Can I ask a couple questions first? Just I want to finish the testimony and then we can talk about it.
So I guess the additional statements that I wrote down in my notes that you contend Maya told you, was that Maya told you that, was it Catherine Bedy told her that her mom was getting mental treatment?
That is correct, Your Honor.
And it was Catherine Bedy, Maya said it was Catherine Bedy that told Maya that she, being Cathi Bedy, wanted to adopt her, meaning Maya.
That is correct.
And Maya told you that?
Yes, sir.
And did Maya also tell you that it was Catherine Bedy that questioned her and made the statement about this using the computer and are you on like a sex website or something?
Yes,
like that?
Your Honor. Yes, that's true.
And you also said that Maya said, and I just want to make sure that Maya told this to you as opposed to someone else. Did Maya tell you that Maya was scared of challenging Cathi Bedy?
Yes,
When did she tell you that?
I don't know the date, sir, but she was very scared of her. She did not like her.
And how about the statements about not being able to come to court if she didn't comply with Ms. Bedy's statements? Was that to you?
She did say that to me in time. I don't know
And when
when.
you say in time, was that?
Well, it wasn't on that date.
It doesn't matter if
Okay.
it was on that date, but tell me, to the best of your memory, sitting here right now, when she told you that, and tell me the circumstances of those discussions.
I honestly could not tell you the date or approximate date, but she did. She brought that up many times.
And has Maya told you about the photographing issues?
She did.
Tell me the first time, if there were more than one, tell me the first time Maya told you.
I know it was when she was still in the hospital. That would have been after that date. I don't know the exact date, but we were informed of it.
Don't say we were informed. Tell me what Maya told you.
Maya told me that she was held down by an individual, and Cathi Bedy said, we have to take these pictures before you go with your Uncle Scotty. That's the brother that transported her from Johns Hopkins All Children's Hospital to the courthouse in Sarasota. Maya stated that she did not want her to do it, and she basically said, if you want to go to court, you have to let us do this. Maya said it was very disturbing.
And the first time that Maya told you this, who else was present?
I honestly don't know. Usually it was myself visiting or with Kyle, but I don't believe Kyle heard that.
And was this before or after your wife died?
That would have been before.
All right, I hate to do it, but I have to stop. I've got to get going. I can't be late for work, and I have to go do my hair and stuff I need to do before I go to my shift and say goodbye to my kids. So my sister is coming into town tonight, Stephanie, who some of you know. Oh, are we freezing now at the end of my stream? StreamYard is going to literally do this to me at the end of my stream. We made it this far, and we're going to be what? What is happening, StreamYard? Why are you doing this to me? Are we back? I think so. Anyway, I hope you can still hear me. Point is, my sister's coming to town tonight, and I'm hoping that I will get to do a stream with her. We're going to watch her do her arguments in front of the appellate court in Maryland on a case she was working on, and she won. And it was videotaped, and I can't wait to do that. Hopefully, do a stream with her. I don't know why my camera's frozen, but let's try to stop that. I'm still here. I'm going to end the stream, though, once StreamYard lets me do it. My computer is freezing. So I've got the spinning, whirly thing of death. I really hate that. But I think it's funny that it lasted this long. But now I have to keep vamping until StreamYard lets me end the stream, because right now it's not letting me do it. Gosh, dang it. Anyway, you guys get out of here. I'm going to end it soon. Come back. Follow me on Locals, meganfox.locals.com, so that you know when I'm going to go live again. We will finish this at some point. I don't know when, but hang in there. I'll be back.